disappointment of the past is gone. The 45-year drought is over. The Los Angeles Kings are indeed the kings of the National Hockey League. They are the 2012 Stanley Cup champions.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another post-game live here on Dime Dropper for the 2024 NBA playoffs. Before we get started, you already know the drill. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube at Dime Dropper to know everything I post and when I post it. And follow your boy on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Dime Dropper Pod. All things NBA, LA sports, and NBA history. And man, tonight we got some games to talk about. Live from Los Angeles, as always. Super chats are turned on if you want to drop $1 a dime. Everybody, please join me here on YouTube. I know there's people watching on Twitter, but coming to YouTube, that's where I make my money. That's where I like everybody to be. I can see your comments, and I'll be reading all the comments at the end. But this will be also an episode that's available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And man, what a night. What a night of games to talk about. It's always special when I get to talk about 2 Game 7s. But holy shit. There's only one place to start tonight. I was big time wrong. All year long, I was saying how the Nuggets are just too far ahead of the league. They're going to go back to back. And I think if you go watch that live I had, I want to say it was March. We had a big game against the Timberwolves, Clippers. Big game against the Timberwolves. And it was like when we were around the 1 seed, competing for the 1 seed, and they absolutely smoked us, locked us up. And I was like, okay, maybe they have the best chance of beating Denver because they did take them to 5 last year, and they didn't have Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels. So now the defense really stood out to me. And as much as, I was wrong about this as well. I thought maybe, I was like, Gobert can't stop Jokic, but maybe he can limit him. He didn't even really limit him. It was really mainly Naz Reid and Karl-Anthony Towns throughout the series. But the Nuggets have lost tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The defending champions have lost in Game 7 of the second round. No back-to-back. No dynasty for now. If they win the next 2 rings after this season, then okay, 3 and 4 years you can talk. But Jokic and Murray, I mean, they had their 30 plus or whatever. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about the game overall. I want to just react to it all of a sudden, but we definitely need to talk about the specifics of the game. But oh my God, like I've been in awe since that fourth quarter has happened. My jaw was on the floor the entire fourth quarter. I was like, this is really happening. I haven't been this shocked as an NBA fan in years. Years, I'm telling you. I was so sure. And especially when they were winning by 20 points. So let's talk about why they were up by 20 points. So as far as Minnesota, they still had Gobert on Gordon, Cat on the Joker, and then Ant and McDaniels were switching possessions guarding Murray and MPJ, but mostly Ant-Man guarding Murray, it felt like. I don't have the number of possessions written down, but that's what it felt like. And it has been that way throughout the series. Conley on KCP. And then on the other side, Jokic is still on Gobert, Aaron Gordon on Cat, MPJ on McDaniels, Murray on Conley, KCP on Ant. And the Nuggets still were switching 1 through 4. Jokic was still hedging on the screens pretty hard with Ant, basically blitzing him. And then with Conley just showing briefly, and then he recovered. But I felt that the Wolves had an interesting strategy with defending the pick and pop of Murray and Jokic. Because the Denver Nuggets usually have Aaron Gordon in that dunker spot, right? So when Murray and Jokic run that pick and pop and you play drop coverage on Murray, that means you're essentially throwing 2 guys on Murray. So Jokic is going to be open, right? And that allows him to get downhill, and then he throws the lob to Gordon, or he shoots that floater, or he takes the 3, right? It's kind of just you're screwed. Or you rotate, and then he just passes, and now you're in rotation, and he gets MPJ or KCP an open shot. What the Wolves were doing, and I think they probably did this in Game 6, I just wasn't paying close enough attention, is that Cat was staying attached to Jokic off the screen, They were letting Murray get downhill with McDaniels in his rear view and Ant in his rear view, and then having Gobert sit down there and do what he does best, which is essentially guard two at once, kind of taking away the lob and Murray's layup at the same time. And because Aaron Gordon is not a good enough shooter, which that was weird to me that Aaron Gordon, he's had such a good series shooting the ball. And then tonight, did he even shoot a three? Let me look. No, he didn't. He shot 5 times. That's insane. And they were struggling to score so much. I just realized that. That's crazy to me. You got to keep the defense honest. And it really, I've never, until this series, in my life, well, it's only been 2 years, seen the Denver Nuggets offense look like, they can't score. I mean, this Minnesota Timberwolves defense, we always talk about the defense played in today's game and how hard it is and how guys don't play hard enough consistently. Teams don't play hard enough on a consistent basis. The pride isn't there on that end of the floor. And then it really starts at the youth level. I don't think defense is preached enough at the youth level. And that's coming from somebody that's in youth sports every weekend. Here's the difference. And so, it's actually funny I say that because I have arguments all the time with the kids in the age group that I coach, like middle school kids. And the kids that don't play for me, all they talk about is points and scoring, every single one. But when you play for me, you have to play D, or else you're not going to get minutes. If I have anything to say about it, you're not going to get heavy minutes. It's all about defense first. All my teams in any league I coach, rec league, or the middle school team I coached, were always top defensive teams because I just preach it a lot. So that's another thing we learned again tonight. The reminder for the millionth fucking time for all you offense and efficiency lovers: defense and rebounding will always reign supreme when the big boys want to play ball at every level. At every level. And the Minnesota Timberwolves defense and size on the glass and the Dallas Mavericks defense and size on the glass is why they won their series. And the best center rotations are the ones in the Western Conference Finals. What does that say? I know what it says, but we'll wait for that. Holy shit, this is so much fun, man. This is great. I'm so not stressed. The Clippers are out. It's Spark season, ladies and gentlemen. I got my W hoodie on, ready to go. I got basketball and Figueroa coming up with Edwin. We're 0-2, and we got 2 homegrown stars, and I'm enjoying every fucking second of it because I can't wait till the Clippers. I have to say the same. I can say the same thing about them. And seeing Anthony Edwards point to the Wolves on his chest. Oh, man, to see the level of pride some of these stars have in these organizations, even the smaller market ones, I envy it. I miss it. And if you're wondering if I'm taking a shot at Kawhi, you better fucking believe I am. I'm tired of that dude. Get him out of here. And Paul George. Get them all out of here. You know how I feel. Let's not talk about the Clippers. They're just going to stress me out and raise my blood pressure. Anyway, let's talk about real, actual competitive basketball teams that, aren't made of glass and have athleticism and youth and pride. And that's the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the Denver Nuggets too, man. I have to say, the Denver Nuggets, they didn't lose for lack of trying. It's just they all said it best. Michael Malone and Jokic. The better team won. So as far as that strategy, so first off, basketball scheme-wise, Aaron Gordon should have been shooting some threes, in my opinion, just to spread the defense out a little bit. Or you can't just have Gobert sitting down there and taking away 2 at once, right? And then we're talking about the Nuggets defensively. They're still switching 1 through 4, and they're very married to this throughout the series of switching smalls onto Cat and Ant. And this is where Karl Anthony Towns took that next step forward for me this postseason and doing what I've always wanted him to do in the NBA, which is, bro, we get it. You're an amazing shooter, the best three-point shooting big man I've ever seen. Not the best. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. The best three-point shooting center I've ever seen. I'm never going to take him over Dirk. Not in a trillion years. That's a funny conversation. And I mean funny as in it's not a conversation. But Karl Anthony Towns, though, he took advantage of the smalls in this series when they won the games. He did the same against Phoenix. And when Cat's playing like that, he's an all-star without a doubt. Without a doubt. And he could be the second best player on a championship team to an Ant-Man. I truly believe it because, dude, he's really talented. It's not about the talent with Cat. And there were some head-scratching decisions tonight, like the foul on Jokic late when they were Was it over the limit? Oh, no, he already had 4 fouls. But the amount of bonehead cat moments has been majorly reduced this postseason. And I think that's like 2 things. I think one of it is Ant-Man. I think the effect that he's had on him from a seriousness perspective is so crazy for a young guy. I mean, it's like the guy that's younger is coming in and like telling Cat, like, bro, you got to be more aggressive. You're a beast. It's the Ant-Man. We'll sing his praises tonight, but there's not enough I can say about the guy. The kid, he's younger than me. It's ridiculous. This is insane. I can't believe what I'm watching. But yeah, Cat, in the first half, this wasn't happening, though. In the first half, it was Jamal Murray getting off. He was 1 for 5, and then he hit 2 threes to end the quarter. They were up 24-19 after 1. And man, this was a gritty defensive game from the get-go. Minnesota shot 36% in the first quarter, 19 points. Denver, 43.5% from the field, 24 points. Murray had 13 of those 24 points, and Joker had 6, 5, and 4 in the first quarter. And if we're talking big minutes, the Denver Nuggets threw it all out there tonight. And honestly, they looked gassed. Jamal Murray played the whole first. KCP played the whole first. Joker played the whole first. Aaron Gordon played the whole first. The only guy that didn't was MPJ, who played 10 minutes of the first, and then Justin Holiday the other 2. MPJ had 6 rebounds in the first quarter, but he was 0 for 4. The Ant-Man, Jaden McDaniels, and Karl Anthony Towns played the whole first quarter for the Wolves. Ant-Man started off cold, 1 for 5. And again, he did have 3 assists, but that strategy of hedging Jokic, it really changed the series, right? And Cat had 6 points, 3 rebounds in the first, and McDaniels 5 points and 4 rebounds in the first. Second quarter, though, definitely the best quarter for the Nuggets in the game. They outscored the Wolves 29-19. And, a lot of it's – one thing I noticed was that Joker, he started the second quarter, and usually they bring him out to begin the quarter. And the Nuggets defense really clamped down at that point. There was no field goals for literally 5 minutes for the Wolves. The Nuggets have just had stretches of really good defense throughout the postseason, as we saw last year as well. But a lot of it comes from the hedging on the Ant-Man and making them get it to other guys. And it was funny because for a second, Minnesota made a push without Ant in the game. But then Murray just started getting off, and the Wolves were getting in foul trouble. Denver went on a 9-0 run. Christian Brown came in and made a really solid impact in that second quarter. But I will say this about the Wolves. They got a rough whistle in that second quarter. They did. And remember, I'm watching this from a neutral perspective. Like I was watching it from, okay, Nuggets, both ends of the floor, they got to win this game because they're the favorites. They're the defending champs. But as a fan, I'm a fan of no team here. I was rooting for Denver, I can't lie, because a couple of reasons. One, I've been saying that they're going to win, so I kind of want my prediction to look good. And then 2, I get really butthurt when a team like Minnesota, who has literally done less than us all time, granted, they've been a franchise for less time, is going to probably surpass the Clippers in furthest finish after this season. And that makes me really butthurt, especially even more so now, given the direction that the Clippers franchise is going in, the worst in the league, arguably. Yeah, it burns. It burns. But I really think the Minnesota Timberwolves, outside of Rudy Escar-Gobert, who I never have liked and I'm never going to like, I think that they're very likable, in fact. But I don't think Denver's not likable. I've always appreciated Jokic so much because I've always wanted a center in my lifetime, like to see a center win a championship as the best player, because I just missed out on Shaq. And the best center I watched growing up was Dwight Howard, whose postgame was suspect as fuck. So I've always wanted a great post-up center, and Jokic is that. So, and when I say I wanted that, I don't mean for the Clippers. I just mean in the league, like being a dominant center. And Joker, well, we'll talk about it in a sec. But, man, I'm going to say this. Brown was making an impact. I will say one thing that gave the Wolves some momentum going into halftime was that Cat had 5 straight points getting aggressive on the switch against Christian Brown. But Christian Brown was really good. There was one possession where he literally locked up Ant-Man in that second quarter. And the Nuggets were looking really good at that point. I thought they were going to cruise to the finish, but I thought they were going to cruise to a win. But when I say that, I mean Wolves would make a little push or a big push, but the Nuggets will still get the job done. That is not what happened. Ant-Man was 0 for 2 in the second, by the way. Murray, 11 points in the second. Jokic had 7 points and 10 rebounds in the second quarter alone. So at halftime, it was 53-38. They were on lock. 38 points. Jokic had a double-double, 13 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 dimes on 50% shooting at the half. Jamal Murray had 24 points at halftime. But here's what I will say. Justin Holiday, Christian Brown, and Reggie Jackson were the 3 guys that came off the Nuggets bench and played in this game. With all due respect to the LA native Justin Holiday, Campbell Hall legend, he's bounced around a lot. And he's had a pretty good series. But if you're relying on Justin Holiday to be your main bench contributor on a championship team, you probably don't have a championship team. And I don't mean to make it about Justin Holiday, but it's just the fact of the lack of depth on this Denver roster. I thought that not having Bruce Brown and Jeff Green would hurt, but I thought that their gap with them in the league was too wide and that their starting lineup was going to be good enough. But I also, and like many Denver Nuggets fans and probably basketball fans, felt that Christian Brown would take a step forward. And it wasn't even that he took no step forward. I felt like he took a step back. I felt like he wasn't making threes. He just didn't stay on the court enough because his offense wasn't good enough. And I actually thought this game he wasn't even bad. But like, again, he didn't take a step up. And then I said this last year, and I mean it very basketball only when I say it, because I love him to death. Reggie Jackson. I said it when he was playing for us last year. If he is part of a championship, if he is part of your rotation, you're not a championship team. He is that not good enough right now. Because that's why people need to understand. And this is why I really get mad when people downplay rings. And I hate when people say rings culture is ruining this and that. Like, no, it's not. We need to stop downplaying how hard it is to win rings and be a part of these kind of teams. There are certain players that just don't belong in games when it comes to winning a championship. And that's because the level is so high that if you're a player like Reggie, who I love, again, to death, and you do not contribute other than on-ball offense. I know Reggie Jackson, catch and shoot Reggie was a thing, I will say. But the thing about Reggie is his decision-making isn't great. And then he likes to like bite off more than he can chew. He thinks he's a lot better than he actually is. And then defensively, he doesn't give a shit. I mean, in 2021, he found that flash in the pan where he was trying like on defense and stuff. But like, you know, and by the way, this is not saying Reggie Jackson over the course of his career. This is just Reggie Jackson as of last year and on. I want to really specify that. I think Reggie Jackson could have been a backup point guard in a championship team. Starting, I don't know. Maybe if we had gone there in 2021 because he was playing out of his mind. But I also think that was a really weak year of the NBA. And it was just an outlier, Reggie Jackson's performance, like in the playoffs. But that season, to be honest. But my point is, he's not good enough right now to be in a rotation on a championship team. No way. And that ended up being right. But I thought Jokic and Murray were good enough and he wouldn't get enough minutes for it to matter. But here's the thing. It didn't necessarily have him get enough minutes for it to matter detrimentally. But the fact that they didn't have anybody to give minutes to did matter because it felt like they were worn down in the second half. And that brings me to the third quarter. Karl Anthony Towns was still aggressive in the third quarter, and he was guarding Joker. And he was getting really physical. And I have to say, they were letting these guys get away with a lot of two-hand push in the back, which is by the letter of the law, a foul, a lot of, just shoving. But here's the thing. This is the playoffs, man. This is the playoffs. You got to fight through it. And I got to give Cat all the credit in the world. Out of Anthony Davis, Rudy Gobert, and Karl Anthony Towns, the guy that guarded Jokic with the most resistance one-on-one was Karl Anthony Towns in the playoffs. That was not on anyone's bingo card. And you know what's funny about Gobert? Before this turnaround, and he's a part of the turnaround, no doubt. But before this game turned around, he was getting cooked on Twitter, on the halftime show by Chuck and the gang. I mean, the guy's offense, because what they're doing when Jokic hedges on the ball screen with Ant, it leaves Gobert in potential short roll situations. And they were neglecting to give him the ball on times because he's such a fucking bumbling oaf with the ball. He doesn't do anything. Like, he just looks like he's going to lose it. His coordination is weak, like, for an NBA player, especially a guy that's probably going to go to the Hall of Fame. Like, he's got no jump hook. He's got no, like, his footwork is trash to me. He's just a big body. He's just a big body with long arms. That's a good lob threat on offense, and he can set some solid screens. But I hate bigs with no touch. I hate them. That's why, because I'm so traumatized by DeAndre Jordan. That's why I love DJ, but like, I just don't like those kind of bigs. I don't like the athleticism, like Dwight Howard. Like, I was a hater of Dwight Howard when he became really good. I like me some skilled bigs in the post, like Jokic, like Hakeem Olajuwon, Kareem, Elton Brand. The list goes on. Rudy Gobert is great at what he does. Super chat by Todd the Show from Houston. What's going on, Todd? By the way, super chats are turned on if you want to drop $1 or a dime. Any donation is appreciated. He said they also made Joker follow Gobert around on defense, and they fed it to him more than usual to make Jokic tired. I like that point. They were calling Gobert out to run some dribble handoffs and stuff at the top of the key, and that did put Jokic in the action a lot. They did, and as the game went on, they were putting Jokic and Murray in the action a lot. And I have to say, I think that, was I done with Gobert? Oh, I was also going to say about Gobert, defensively, he was offering nothing in help. Like, he was offering nothing in help. And then, like, you're the defensive player of the year and you're not guarding the best player in the world. Over the whole course of a series, it's like, I get it what you're trying to do conceptually, but like, be real, bro. Like, what happened to the good old days where we consider defense how good you guard somebody mano-a-mano? Stand up and fucking sit down. And the thing about Gobert and Anthony Davis that I've noticed in the post is that they stand up straight because they're so good with verticality, right? But they just stand up straight in the post like this, and the bigs all go right into their chest, and they get like, that leverage, and they get right into their chest to create space. Whereas that's why you see Jokic will struggle a little bit more with guys that are going to get underneath them a little bit, get low. And again, Kobe mentioned this before the accident on detail, and he's so right about it. He said that the post defense fundamentals are really lacking these days because people don't post. So it's like clearly why. And he even said himself, he said, when I came in the league, my post defense was trash. And that was something like people had to work on back then because I was coming fresh out of high school. I didn't go to college. Bonzi Wells was posting me up. And I was like, shit, that's interesting. No one talks about that now. I got to get better defensively in the post. But I've noticed that about Gobert. So Reed and Cat, they were getting underneath them. They were getting low. You know what I'm saying? So again, I want to say this about Gobert before I start singing his praises. I always say this about him. I agree with Shaq. And Shaq is not a hater because he doesn't think Gobert is like an all-time great defender. Gobert is an all-time great defender by resume, and I think he's an all-time great rim protector. But me personally, my lens of basketball, my first thing with defense is how good are you guarding elite players at your position? One-on-one, mano-a-mano. And Gobert's very lucky that he's been in an era without great one-on-one centers. And when you see him go against players like Anthony Davis, Jokic, these skilled bigs, he does okay. He doesn't give enough resistance where you think this is one of the best defenders I've ever seen. He's not Ben Wallace, bruh. And by the way, from a physically intimidating standpoint, he's also not Ben Wallace. And I say this all the time when they compare the two players. You think Draymond Green is putting his hands around Ben Wallace's neck like that? Because he would end up in the fucking hospital if he did something like that to Ben Wallace. He wouldn't even try. He wouldn't even try doing it. Gobert's an intimidating rim deterrent, but it feels like players are not scared of him, if you know what I mean. And I don't think grown men are scared of other grown men, but there are certain players, as much as fans don't want to admit it, that have a certain fear factor to them, even to professionals. And I think Ben Wallace, to a degree, had some of that. Because, like, dude is just a straight dog. But, yeah, that's what I say about Gobert. He's still great, but I'm not taking him over a lot of great centers or a lot of great defenders to play the game. I'm not. I'm taking a lot of them. But then we got to talk about how good he was, right? So as I was saying, with Gordon in that dunker spot, Gobert had some really good moments where he was guarding two at once, taking away the rim. And there was this one block I think he had on Murray, really changed the momentum of the game. It led to, and the stops, what it started leading to was transition. And that's when you start to get Ant more to the basket and on the ball with space. And, I want to say this about my boy Jamal Crawford, one of my favorite players of all time. Talk about somebody who took pride in the organization, by the way, and represented the fans extremely well and was such a gentleman to the fans. Jamal Crawford is the epitome. And I don't care that he didn't have great postseasons. And you know what I love is how open he's been about that with Tony Allen guarding him. Tony Allen, man, this fool's seeing poor Jamal Crawford, man. He's seeing Tony Allen in his nightmares. Fuck Tony Allen and Mike Conley. And I still respect the fuck out of all those Grizzlies, the Teddies, but I hate them. I hate them, including Mike Conley, who's literally the most respectable human being on earth, but screw him. I can't stand any of them. But I love seeing Jamal Crawford open up about that. He's saying like he lost confidence. Again, somebody like Jamal Crawford, one of the most confident bench scorers we've ever seen, is saying that in the postseason, when you play against the big boys, he was losing confidence. Confidence matters. Oh, he just shot like shit. He just started missing shots. You think guys that make shots for a living just randomly start missing shots? Like, it is good defense, but there's a mental aspect to sports that people just don't talk about enough because they think now we've gone too much in the other direction now where it's like it's a simplification of analysis to say they wanted it more. Sometimes teams just play harder. Sometimes teams are first to loose balls. Sometimes teams are better on the glass. Sometimes teams are more intense defensively. That is wanting it more to me. That is putting out more effort. That shit matters. These games are won on the margins to me in the playoffs at times. Shit, at every level. I don't like that. And to downplay confidence. Oh, what is dog? What is the it factor, the killer mentality mean? Okay, if you need some sort of explanation as to why Anthony Edwards has a killer mentality besides just watching them play, then you probably aren't the best evaluator of talent. So let me just say this, man. 15-1 Wolves run. I think a lot of the third quarter was partially Denver just going ice cold, but look how hard they had to work for every shot. And I never say that about the Denver Nuggets. Oh, I keep going on tangents. What I was going to say about Jamal Crawford was he was making a really good point that Anthony Edwards needed to just kind of get away from the ball screen and try to go ISO when he had space and time to go ISO. And I think you can also say that the coaching staff of the Wolves didn't run enough off-ball actions for him and stuff like that. But as Ant was talking to Conley at halftime, you saw this is a players' league. You can't have your coach hold your hand. You guys think the coaches are telling Ant-Man to just run high pick and roll every single time down the floor? No. Like, no one's going to tell Ant-Man, hey, man, don't come off that flare screen. Like, are you kidding me? You know what I'm saying? Especially with an interim coach right now, like, Ant-Man said at half in the inside, we heard it on the inside tracks or the audio assist, whatever they call it these days, saying that I'm going to come off more screens in this half. Like, one thing I think it's improved so much about Ant every single year is his basketball IQ. Every single year. God. How could you not respect, and enjoy that guy, watching that guy compete? It's like, Minnesota fans are so lucky. I have never uttered that sentence. I don't know if anyone's ever uttered that sentence in the history of mankind. Minnesota fans are so lucky. Oh, man. But the Nuggets couldn't make a shot. Like, KCP's out here bricking. Jokic wasn't really hitting. Murray's gone cold. And Ant started to cook. He hit that step back three at the end of the quarter, and it just felt as though the life was being sucked out of the building. In the third quarter, the Minnesota Timberwolves outscored the defending champions 28-14. The Nuggets only got 19 shots off. You know why? Because the Wolves were making them work so deep into the shot clock every possession. And I think a lot of it was because when they ran that pick and pop with Jokic really hesitated on the floater, on the open foul line jumper, on the open three. And when he shot the three, he didn't really have it tonight. It was hurting them because essentially it was just making Jokic play one-on-one because he was kind of like taking away the advantage that was created in that pick and pop. And they stayed home on all the shooters. And then sometimes they had to help, and then they still got out to the shooters really well. Like, the way they cover ground is the best in the league. Dallas second. But, like, wow. I was in awe. And, like, I've been saying for a year now, how do you stop the Murray-Jokic pick and roll? And I don't think you can fully stop it. But they came like this was basically stopping it. And then what they did was they didn't even do any like convoluted strategy. Although I will say that Gobert under the rim and then Jokic, Cat staying home was good. But sometimes they played drop with Cat where he just kind of like hedged and took away it was like more like a hedge than a drop. Because if you drop on Murray and he's walking into jumpers, like you're fucked. But he was kind of like just showing and then recovering really quick to Jokic. And Jokic just doesn't work fast at all. And he was recovering, and it was essentially Jokic just going one-on-one, and they weren't getting stuff. And like Murray still got his shots off throughout the series, but every single one was more contested than I've ever seen. And that's just the McDaniels effect and the Ant-Man effect. The Minnesota Timberwolves are obviously much better than any team the Denver Nuggets played last year. That's very obvious. And the Nuggets have gone worse. We saw it in the regular season. They lost their depth. Jokic and Murray haven't gone worse. But I will say this, though. Murray did not perform as well as last year. And like last year, he was pretty insane. It was even above his, like, he does rise in the playoffs, but like that was even above his playoff rising. Will he ever replicate that? We'll see. I tend to think he could, but we're giving a little bit more relief. I mean, Reggie Jackson's your fucking backup. Like, that's not good enough. But Jokic doesn't get a pass either. He was getting locked up, and I just mentioned it. Like, he wasn't shooting those shots real quick, wasn't making his three ball, and then defensively, he wasn't very good this postseason. Like, I thought he did a pretty good job hedging on those screens with Ant, but sometimes he still got the corner turn. Like let's be real, guys. Like, Jokic is a good, like, I think he's an above average defender at best. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is where when we talk historical comparisons, and I know he plays in the toughest era to guard, but this is when we talk historical comparisons. When you want to put Jokic's name with the likes of the Chamberlains and the Olajewans and the Bill Russells and the Kareems, you had to take into account the defensive gap. You just have to. Like, Wilt Chamberlain is completely shutting teams down defensively because he's jumping up to his arm is over the rim. You know what I'm saying? Bill Russell is starting your offense with his defense. Hakeem Olajuwon has the most blocks in the history of basketball. Jokic, if you see him play good defense, you're like, oh my God, Jokic is playing D. You know, like it's you got to talk about this. And like, I mean, what else is there to say about the Wolves? Let's just talk about big plays in the fourth. I want the comment section to just keep throwing out plays that happened in the fourth, just in case I forget. The Nuggets at times were starting to double on Ant's ISOs. But here's what I'd say about Ant. He started going more ISO in the second half. And there were times where, because I was looking at it from a Nuggets perspective, I wanted them to win because, one, I said I wanted to be right. But the second reason why is because I get butthurt when teams that have done less than the Clippers go further. So I was kind of like, I don't want to see Wolves and I want to see Nuggets Celtics. But the Ant-Man was putting fear into me, man. The thing about the Ant-Man, he's not settling like the years past. He's grown. He's realized, like, yo, I can get to the basket anytime I want. And he's putting pressure on the rim. He was putting pressure on the rim, man. And then Gobert, he started turning it around defensively. But then that shot he made, when he made that shot, I knew that this might just be it. Like, this might be the shock of the season, that the Nuggets are going to lose this game 7 at home. Do you know how hard it is to lose a game 7 at home? And it's happened twice on the same day. I mean, the Knicks, we'll talk about that later. But, I mean, just everything that could have gone wrong went wrong for them. This was more like a game, like a real game. And the defending champions literally lost at home. And I have to say, during this whole stretch, yeah, Denver was over the limit. Thank you, Todd. And the limit with like 6 minutes left in the fourth. They could not struggle. You're saying, yeah, Minnesota was over the limit. But yeah, the thing is, if you look at the Denver Nuggets roster, they don't have that many guys that can get to the rim like that. That's probably Murray's biggest weakness, is that he doesn't really get to the rim enough. And his shot making, his contested shot making in his mid range, and his ability to get to his spots, plus Jokic's post up game, gets them enough easy baskets. But tonight, in this postseason, it didn't. And they had no depth, right? So, like, they were really just going hard with these guys, and I could see how tired Jokic was getting. And it was the first time in my entire time watching ball that I saw Jokic get gassed like that. And I felt like, bro, he's not gonna be able to do this, because Ant-Man, he's in such great shape. You just knew, and he had gotten more help. You just knew that they were going to be able to do this. And then Cat, who was playing amazing on both ends of the floor, he gets taken out with 5 fouls. He slaps down on Jokic. Enter Naz Reid, who literally went crazy. Fast break layups, put back dunk, driving and attacking closeouts. And then when he blocked Jokic, I was like, bro, this is it. It's over. Jokic is out here getting stuffed in the fourth quarter by Naz Reid. I'm not going to lie, man. Jokic and Murray got clamped. I can't believe it. I can't fucking believe it. And when I say clamped, everyone's going to say, well, they still got 30 this. They were made to work for everything. We're going to check their second half stats in a second. But man, this Minnesota defense, you got to give them all the credit in the world. Ant-Man had 9 points in the third, by the way. Jokic had 7, but he was 2 for 6 in the quarter, and Murray was 2 for 7. So they were 4 for 13 in the third quarter. And then the fourth quarter, man. By the way, how good was Jaden McDaniels? The way he's able to X out on his shooters, which means like take 2 at once. Remarkable, man. And then in the fourth quarter, the Nuggets were starting to get crushed on the glass. That's one thing that Gobert was rightfully getting cooked for in the first half. He was getting bitched on the glass by Jokic. But then he started getting offensive rebounds over him. So I was like, yikes. Jokic is not doing it. And then Murray's not making the big shots. And then MPJ couldn't hit a shot. KCP couldn't hit a shot. Let's be honest. They got no help. But they didn't do it either for me. And then Cat with the putback dunk. KCP didn't box out. There was also a play in the fourth quarter. Murray did not box out. No rebounds, no rings. The Godfather said it, and it's always going to remain true. You got to rebound. And then the Ant-Man making big plays. That corner 3 was huge. But when I saw Jamal Murray get ripped like that at half court, and he looked like it looked like very little resistance from him to prevent the ball from getting stolen, I knew he was tired. And I could see his body language after he was missing, and it looked like someone that just knew it wasn't going to happen for him this night. And that was it. Oh, and then, by the way, I mean, Ant-Man waving to the fans was completely badass. Jaden McDaniels trying to lob the ball to himself like that was ridiculous. I think in the 90s or the early 2000s, that would have started a fight. I think somebody would have gotten so mad that they would have done that. Jokic had a little talking to with him, but wow. And the Minnesota Timberwolves really did it. They came into Denver. They beat the defending champions from a 20-point deficit and showed a level of resilience that I don't know how many people thought they had. And they did it with a 22-year-old leading the way. I said it when they were up 2-0, and now I'm going to say it again. This feels really D-Wade like 06, like this was the Pistons series, where that guy, and again, I'm not saying he wasn't even my player of the game tonight. I think that was Cat probably. I'd probably say Cat. But if you're telling me that they win that game without Ant-Man turning up in the second half, I disagree. Ant-Man has turned up in so many second halves. And the way he leads this team, you better believe he's making Cat better. It's beyond words. And what NBA star right now is defending the best perimeter player on the other team and then carrying the offense? Nobody. This guy is special. And it's not just the amazing physical attributes. It's not the amazing skill that he's improved every year. It's the will, the confidence, the maturity at that age. He has what you can't teach. And everyone said it since day one, mainly since the second season. We've all said it, that he's got the it factor. And you see the confidence. He speaks in a certain way that it's like, he wants this, man. And he's going to go take it. We're seeing something special in front of our eyes. The birth of a new all-timer. And maybe soon to be the greatest Minnesota Timberwolf of all time. I love you, Kevin. But man, wow, what a performance by Minnesota. They win the game by, let's see what they win. What's the fourth quarter? 32-23 Wolves. It's crazy because Ant-Man shot 1 for 8 in the fourth, but he was so impactful. Jaden McDaniels had 7 points in the fourth, 5 of them from the free throw line. Gobert had 8 points in the fourth. He really had 5 fouls in the fourth. That's insane. And then, by the way, that 3 that Mike Conley hit, oh my God, that was insane. Contested. or off the pump fake. And then Naz Reid had 8 points and 3 rebounds when it counted most. Jokic actually had 14 points on 5 for 10 shooting in the fourth. That's crazy because it just felt like every single miss was so big. Jamal Murray, man, they shot efficiently in the fourth. That's the crazy part. 20 points, 20 out of the 23 points were from them. 3 for 5 from the field and 5 for 10. But, I mean, I can't lie. Jamal Murray, like, you lost the ball at half court in the fourth quarter of a game 7, bro. I can't say anything about it. Jokic got stuffed. Like, they weren't creating good enough shots throughout the game like they normally do. And I'm not saying that the other players did not get good looks. They got their fair share. But MPJ gets 3 fourth quarter shots. By the way, he was not nearly good enough. And he was so good in the first round, but he wasn't good enough in the series. And Aaron Gordon gets 1 shot off. You weren't putting the defense in rotation the same way. You weren't generating the same open looks. It was a lot of just brilliance that they were begging Murray and Jokic to make shots. 23-32 in the fourth. The Wolves win, and they win this game 7 by a score of 98-90, a good old-fashioned under 100-point game for both teams. I mean, let's talk about the Wolves first. Kyle Anderson played just 4 minutes. He missed an easy chippy, 2 points, 1 assist. Happy for Kyle and Jordan McLaughlin. Oh, my God. If Jordan McLaughlin and Kyle Anderson get rings, I will be so fucking happy in a certain way. If Jordan McLaughlin can put NBA champion on his resume, holy shit, I am going to be hilarious. That would be a dream. I just wanted him to make the NBA. Riding a bench to a title, I will take that. But I don't know if I want the Wolves to win. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 0 for 6 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. But God, this guy plays D. He plays D. Like, if they don't have, like, his plus minus says he's minus 11, but I think if they don't have a Nickeil Alexander-Walker, like, you don't win this series. I don't even know if you win this game. Because then if he doesn't play, like, you have, like, the Denver Nuggets, then you're playing your starters more, and then maybe they get gassed, like the Nuggets guys did. Mike Conley played 38.5 minutes. Oh, I forgot about Naz Reid. 11 points, 4 rebounds on 4 for 7 shooting, and 1 for 4 from 3, and most of that came in the fourth quarter. 2 blocks, one of those on Jokic. What a monster. I think both of those were on Jokic. Mike Conley, 3 for 10, 3 for 5 from 3, 0 for 5 from 2, 10 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. Look, man, I got something to say about Mike Conley. I can't stand him, but I got to congratulate him. He helped 2 small market franchises get to a conference finals. For Memphis, they've never been there since, and they've never been there before. And the Minnesota Timberwolves have been there once. I criticized the trade and said, you're really giving up D'Lo for old Conley, who looks washed. He's had like a revival. He's defended well since the second he got there. Because I was looking at him in Utah, and he looked like he could not guard anymore. And then they also got Nickeil Alexander-Walker out of that. So it was such a great trade. And it's so funny that they probably ended up winning the trade the most out of the Lakers, Utah, and them. And we thought they won the trade the least. Oh, my God. Crazy how shit works. Because Conley is just such a great veteran presence. And unlike D'Lo, they're actually such polar opposites in ways. The only thing that they have in common is that they're lefties that can shoot. D'Lo, when he's not really scoring, he doesn't bring much. When Conley's not scoring, he still makes all the right basketball plays. He still plays defense. He's mentally so much tougher and smarter. And he's such a leader out there. And he just seems like a great guy to have on a team. So it's his second conference finals, and I got to give him credit. Maybe he gets a ring as the starting point guard. He's one of the most underrated players to me, and that don't make that mistake with pay. He was overpaid, but he was still underrated even when he was paid that much to me. Congratulations to him. How about Jaden McDaniels? My God, and Ant-Man sings his praises, and he should. This guy, we underestimated his absence last year in that series against these guys. One of, if not the best perimeter defender in the league. I would think he's the best. Him and OG Anunoby, I'd say, right? 23 points, 6 boards. Herb Jones is a really good too, but I think I'll take McDaniels. 1 assist, 2 steals, and a block. No turnovers on 7 for 10 shooting and 3 for 4 from 3. 6 for 7 from the foul line in 40 minutes. Look, you need a performance from your other guys. 23 points to be tied for your leading scorer in addition to the defense that he brought. Amazing performance by McDaniels. And it's funny because he was having such a cold start to the series shooting the ball. And he came up with 3 for 4 from 3 when it counted. Rudy Gobert. Well. After the bubble, I said you could never win or go to the conference finals with Rudy as your second best player. And throughout the season, I thought he was probably the second best player. But in the playoffs, it's been Cat. And I think that's what they've needed to make it that far. I think you can't. I still stand by my statement. I think if Rudy's your second best player, clear cut, you're probably not good enough to make the conference finals. But as a third guy with Cat playing like this, he did it. And I got to give him a lot of credit, man. He made a huge difference defensively. Made that big shot. He made his free throws. The Gobert trade definitely was worth the swing. In this game, he had 13 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 2 blocks, 3 turnovers on 3 for 7 shooting, and 7 for 9 from the free throw line. And then Anthony Edwards, 16 points only, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, 1 turnover. On 6 for 24 shooting, a la 2010 Kobe Game 7, 2 for 10 from 3. I have to say this about the Ant-Man, though. Even though he shot 10 threes, I think he did it because in the pick and roll, they were throwing 2 at him. So he was just taking the shots that he could. But man, Ant-Man, I don't think he is nearly as three-point happy and as jumper happy as he once was. He's kept getting better at the mid-range, and he's way more in attack mode. He's consistently gotten better at playmaking. He's just kept on growing, man. 22 years old doing this. It's unreal. This is not normal, guys. Don't take this for granted. I always talk about young players have so much pressure on them to win rings. Talk about Jason Tatum, like young best. I've talked about this on the 4 Sportsman so much. Players this young they don't lead the team to championships. It just doesn't happen. But this guy might have the stuff. He might be part of that exclusive crew. Dwayne Wade, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So this is Ant's 4th year. Kareem played 4 years of college basketball, 3 years though, because back then you couldn't play as a freshman. So he was still on that younger side of things. That's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Tim Duncan. These guys are the exceptions. The all-time great Larry Bird, although Larry Bird's like 24. So he's a little older still than Ant. It's insane. Ant might be the youngest of them all. Could he do it? And I'll tell you, let's talk about Cat first. Cat, 23 and 12 to go along with 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. 8 for 14 from the field. 1 for 6 from 3. So again, another game where he shot more 2s than 3s. I love that. 6 for 6 from the foul line. I think Cat has stood up to all the critics, including me, about the way he's played so far in this playoffs. And then you have the Mavs. I'm sorry, the Nuggets. The Wolves, by the way, won this game shooting 39% from the field and 29 from 3, 87 from the foul line. Nuggets actually shot better from the field, 41%. They only shot 24% from 3, 87.5 from the foul line, but shot 14 less free throws. 14 less. Reggie Jackson played 5.5 minutes and had a donut and was 0 for 1 with 2 turnovers. Again, Reggie Jackson cannot be in your rotation if you want to win a championship. All due respect. Justin Holiday, 9 minutes, a donut, no shot attempts. Nothing. Christian Brown, 5 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block. 1 for 3 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. I think he was fine, but man, they just didn't have enough off the bench. Denver Nuggets this time around, and it really hurt. I think depth is overstated in the playoffs to a degree, but man, if you got no bench, you can't win a ring. Not with no bench. How about the starters? Let's start with KCP. I thought he was really disappointing in this series offensively, and he didn't have Bruce Brown to make up for it this time. And it reminds me of 2021. Comes off the championship, he wasn't making shots anymore. That was part of the reason they traded him. I think KCP definitely should be disappointed in himself. I think Nuggets fans should be disappointed in him. He had to make shots. 5 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and a block on 2 for 7 shooting and 1 for 4 from 3. A couple of shots that he took really could have changed the momentum. He didn't make them. MPJ, Not good enough. 7 points, 9 rebounds. No moments this postseason where I was like, yeah, good defense by MPJ. Because last season he had some. And I think partially it's because better competition. 7 points, 9 rebounds, 2 blocks on 3 for 12 shooting, 1 for 6 from 3, no free throw attempts. I think MPJ is a really great fit for this team, but it'll be interesting to see if they can try to get someone that's a little bit more impactful defensively and on the glass than him this summer. But because I think MPJ still has room to grow as a player. I think, though, you got to develop him a little bit more. And I think that hurt tonight, honestly. Although he was being guarded by McDaniels or Ant. So, I don't know. But if you can develop him into someone that you can give the ball to more to go to work, as opposed to just working off the catching off movement, I think that could be a key to this team because it really feels like they don't have a third guy. I mean, Aaron Gordon is a great third complimentary guy, but he's not a star. And MPJ, I think theoretically has the tools to potentially be a star. He doesn't really have a handle, though, like that. But I think if he catches the ball in the right areas, he can still be a little bit more of a guy who has a third option he can just go to. They don't really have that. And I think you can argue the coaching staff hasn't developed that enough throughout the season. But, okay. Let's talk about MPJ, man. Not good enough. Aaron Gordon. He actually had a really good series, but 4 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block in the do-or-die game, 2 for 5 from the field. And a lot of that is the Gobert effect. It really is. Oh, God. This is just unfathomable for me. I've spent so much time on this game, but it's worth it. It's game 7. It's a game that's going to go down in history. The defending champions were dethroned. I mean, it's big time. It's very big time. How about the 2 big boys now? Jamal Murray, 35 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, though, and to just 3 assists to 4 turnovers, 13 for 27 from the field. So he actually shot pretty well, but 4 for 12 from 3, 5 for 5 from the line. Sorry to say it, but it just wasn't enough. Just wasn't enough. I don't think he gets a pass. And it's not even just about this game. The first 2 games, when you're down 2-0 in a series at home, no. Jamal Murray does not get a pass. I like him. He's one of my favorites in the league. Wasn't good enough. And there's nothing to say about it. You just got to play better next year. That's it. Just put in more work, play better. You're in your prime. You're literally in your prime, right? Just got to go out there. Hopefully get a good backup for you so you can get a little rest and then run it back. This team is not, the window is not closed for me at all with this team. As long as you have Murray and Jokic, you got a chance. But Murray, I mean, he's got to be better. Needed to be better in this series, just given the lack of depth. How about Jokic? He had 34 points, 19 rebounds, 7 assists, and a block, 3 turnovers on 13 for 28 shooting. So holding Jokic under 50% is a win. Any great center that can score like Jokic can, it's a win. Here's the kicker. 2 for 10 from 3. I'm telling you that pick and pop, he was not quick enough with that. And he missed his threes. He only sat out for 1 minute and 24 seconds. It wore on him, man. It did. They needed a backup. And again, I think that stat line's amazing, but it just wasn't enough. And I think Jokic, you got to blame him the least in this series for sure. He's not scratch free, man. You knew that he was going to need to play amazing. Hold on a second before we read. Let me look at the second half stats. Look at the second half stats. 60-37, Minnesota won for 1. The Nuggets shot 36% from the field and 19 from 3 in the second half. The Wolves shot 13 more free throws in the second half, and that was not some foul bullshit. Although I do think Jokic could have gotten some more calls in the post. Those wouldn't have even been shooting fouls. They had 4 guys in double figures in the second half alone. Of course, the only 2 guys in double figures for Denver in the second half were Jokic and Murray. Nobody scored more than 3 points in the second half for Denver besides them. And then together, neither of them even shot 44%. Jokic was 7 for 16, and Murray was 5 for 12. If your teammates are going to shit the bed, you need it to shoot efficiently. And to be honest, there is something to be said about the fact that Murray and Jokic are the 2 guys they attack on defense. So your offense is why you're so great. And I mean, come on. You got to I don't know what to say. You got to be better. There's no excuses, man. Sorry, Jokic. And by the way, I know that the new CBA restricts teams from building dynasties, and it's going to be so hard to build a dynasty in today's game because of the CBA and then how hard it is to build a nice roster around guys with max contracts. And guys today are even more with the contract. They're so much more greedy than before. It's like, God, I need to take my money. They want to get the money. I don't blame them. Get paid. Especially after you win a ring, though. It's like you've already accomplished that part of your career. So now you want to just get as much money as you can. So Minnesota, I mean, they have Nickeil Alexander-Walker making $5 million. Are you in like that's ridiculous? It's the best contract in basketball. And then you have Naz Reid making less than 20. He's a $25 million player. So like, I mean, geez, let me just say this about Jokic, man. I don't think much less of him as a player after this. But let's just relax on some of the conversation. Let's just relax a little bit. When we talk about guys that have led to back-to-back titles, I get it. They didn't have the same restrictions on the CBA and whatnot. It doesn't matter. It ain't easy to win back-to-back titles. And most of them were better on defense than Joker. Is that not a relevant point? So, like, when you're 90% offense in your game and they limit you a little bit, shit. I don't know. So, like, yeah. Shout out to my boy Swipa, dude. He's gonna get cooked all summer. I was gonna have Swipa come on the show again for the conference finals preview. But he was talking loud. He was telling me I had to, and if someone wants to send this to him, they can. He was telling me I got to switch up my list and have. I said I don't know if I can put Jokic over Steph, Duncan, Kobe, and Bron yet. And I think he said 2 of those got to get moved. And I'm like, I'm not gonna have to do nothing. And Kobe Bryant, my friend, won back-to-back titles as the man. Slow down, please. And then who was the other one I mentioned? Oh, Tim Duncan. Yeah, he never won back-to-back. Maybe Jokic has a Tim Duncan arc. He doesn't win back-to-back, but he gets another. I don't think this is the end of Jokic winning a ring. I don't. But it'll be interesting to see what Denver does. Man, Minnesota is going to the conference finals. I can't believe it. Actually, I can believe that they're going to the conference finals, but I just couldn't believe they could beat Denver. I didn't think anybody's going to beat Denver. Minnesota or Dallas is going to represent the West in the conference in the finals this year. Ridiculous. Neither of them even made it out of the first round last year. Dude, basketball is becoming like the NFL. It's like every year we got so much change. But I also think the injuries factor in the NBA is so prominent now. It's the most prominent it's ever been. And it's like if your team gets the right luck, you can get there. But the Wolves haven't gotten that. The Wolves are just absolutely beating 2 solid teams. I mean, Phoenix is overrated as shit, but you sweep Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, you're no joke. And then you beat the Wolves like that. I mean, the Nuggets like that. Dethrone the champs. It's all about the Ant, man. He's the man. Great coaching staff, too. Shout out to Minnesota. Now they made their second ever conference finals. Obviously, the first time I've ever seen it because 2004 was young. I was young. So, salute to them. My God. Denver. They should be back. But anyway, before I go to Dallas's game against OKC, I'm just going to read some comments because you guys have been in here long enough. By the way, if you want to bring your comment right to the top, you can just super chat. The money. There's so many comments. I don't know if I'm able to read all these. I'm just going to read the ones that are actually intended to be read. Dime, this has to be one of the first games in a while where Denver got outbeat in the clutch. Yeah, okay. I like that I read these sometimes. It makes me add additional points. And also, last thing to end it off, I want to say that Denver, their clutch factor is what got them through games. But the fact that they couldn't score and create good looks the same way at the end of this, in the second half, was just a testament to how great Minnesota's defense was. Or is, I should say. Best Sunday since peak Bron. Oh, wait, that was different. Shoot. MPJ didn't show up is correct. No need to go bear when you got two-way machine cat. By the way, if you're on Twitter right now, can you please come to YouTube? There's 108 of you on Twitter. There's 72 on YouTube. Can we even that out a bit? YouTube is where I get my money and where I want my 15,000 subscribers. I want 100 people in here. 108 on Twitter. You guys can't be that addicted to Elon. Please. I beg. The link is all over my page right now on Twitter. Just go click on it. Come on. Fuck Twitter. Love the background. Thank you, Miranda. Playoffs are so different. That's why college is huge. Go play for University of Houston with Calvin Sampson. Super chat. Appreciate you, Colton Dodd. Really appreciate you. Let's see. Yeah, this playoffs highlighted importance of rebounding more than usual. I like Kyrie. Oh, the hoodie? I got it from Nike.com. Go Mavs. What Nuggets and Wolves have been doing for the past 2 years, what Clippers should have been doing. That's very easy to say. They're being conservative even at 20-point lead. That you can argue is true too. Don't read this dime. 20-odd minutes. Oh, I honestly knew the loss of Bruce Brown wouldn't show itself sooner or later. I wish I had something on it. Joker falls into the Brady rule for me. Just don't bet against them. Even if I think they'll lose. Okay. Jokic is great, but he ain't no Tom Brady. I also agree with that. Bruce Brown and KCP tag teaming on the best perimeter players was key last year. They have different defensive tactics. If you cooking one, what's the chances you cooking the other? Okay, but Jokic has had continual dominance. Unless you're talking about the team. No hate to Reggie, but he can't. Yeah. A stupid player would have tried to take over the second half to prove a point and let it play out. Yep. And is amazing for taking over on defense and not doing more than he was asked. Jerry from Dallas in Philippines. Wow. Mavs in 6. Love your show. Thanks, man. Nuggets at no bench. Denver's not likable, man. Did you see how big sore loser Malone was? I feel he was a little bit sore loser. Just like Shame Battier and Rind Artest, both top tier defenders. But if you're cooking one, the chance of you cooking the other, slim. Unless you Kobe, MJ, or Ant. What's up, Stratos? I say, hey guys, like and subscribe. Top 3 delusional fan base with us against world. Some Excel pages saying Jokic is best offensive player ever. Top 3 peak. Matt Barnes, too. He was kosher at defense. What? Fact stock. Jokic ass kicking has been an all-time high this year. I'm glad it's going to die now. Ass kissing. I'm impressed that Anthony have a good game. Well, he had a good half. It looks like our dynasty begins this year. Bleed green. Oh, yeah. That brings me to that. I'm going to talk about that in a sec. Nothing the Fuller staff, but it worked. Oh, he's a great defender, period, in my opinion. Rondo and Cousins both called out Gobert, too, and said the same thing you said. He can't be an all-time great when he's never had one series where his defense changed the series. Yeah, it's so facts. Yeah. Dwight and Wallace, better defender than Gobert's. Feel you. Easier task against the Mavs? I wouldn't be so sure. Relative to era, comparing should apply to Gobert like it applied to Bill Russell. So what if there isn't too many bigs? Okay. No, that's true, Stoxino. That is true. But, okay, let's see if he can win a chip. Ben Wallace did. We saw our test turn Draymond into a kitty cat. When was that? Shooters can shoot. Also legit dogs that can shoot are better than shooters that can shoot. Yes, facts. Fans downplay mentality nowadays. Too analytical. I agree. Fabian. Excited to see a conference so competitive. Tony Allen was not for play. Playoff Zinho. Who still remember the humble beginnings of Ant when he gambled on the steal on John Morant Game 5 and lost the game? Yeah. Minnesota been so unlucky in history, I believe to deserve a break. Real knows fully healthy Knicks would have a great chance of beating Boston. I agree. Luka will hunt Gobert again like he did when Gobert was in Utah. Man, I wish the Nuggets won. I'm worried about my Mavs versus the Wolves. Mavs versus Wolves. It will be very fun. Bruce Brown did say the Wolves were the toughest opponent. You are right. Knicks would have won the chip healthy. Oh, my God. So everyone's still in a good series. The failed McDaniels, yeah. 3 at home, yeah. Ant is the heir to Curry as he was to Kobe and he was to MJ. What? What about LeBron? They kept giving Rudy the ball at the 3-point line. Yeah. How do you differentiate a surprise playoff team taking the next step versus fake overachievers? The competition and how I like the competition level and also my eye test, I'd say. Still 113 people on Twitter. We have more people on YouTube now, though. 75. That's pretty good. They're doing all ball merge. Denver ball watches a lot, specifically Jokic and Murray. They didn't box out and Wolves took advantage of it so much this series. Nas, you can hate me now. Mavs need Maxi Kleba back to handle Minnesota's size. I feel you. Mavs can get maybe 2. I just don't see them matching up. Is it time to talk about the Dallas Mavericks, guys? Is it time to talk about the Dallas Mavericks, guys? I think it's time to talk about the Dallas Mavericks. I think it is. 5 fouls in the fourth is crazy. J-Mac prevented being blowout at first, then close it out. Yeah. What is this? Yeah, they were, Marcus. I would agree. Yep, no one can take his title away from him as second best player on a championship team. I think Wiggins will bounce back. Did he ever tell the media what the person? I don't know about that. Wow, that's a funny convo, but I don't know about it. Between the 2022 Mavs Suns game and the upcoming Mavs Wolves game, in which are the Mavs more likely to be considered the underdog? Mavs Wolves are not playing a game upcoming. They're playing a series, Gen X. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I kind of agree with this too, though. I love Jimmy Butler, but his shenanigans have expired. Indeed. If Cat wins a chip, no way is Cat ever better than Butler. Cat just had a great team. To be honest, because as a Clipper fan, I can empathize with being a poverty franchise. I'm rooting for the T-Wolves. I feel you. I just get sad when I see other teams get good stuff before us. Ant might be better than Jimmy. No, he is for now. Right now, he's definitely better. Jimmy wanted to leave Minnesota, and this route is very tough. He's already built more. He's only 22. Cat and Hallie made a conference final before Embiid. That's wild. I love Jimmy, but he needs a star with him. He has Bam Adebayo, Todd. Jay Butler. Ant's better. Right now, he's better defender than Jimmy, too. Speaks to Ant's leadership through D. Mitch, and even Jimmy couldn't get this out of Cat Gobert. Yeah, it's true. I think Ant leads without hurting their feelings. Jimmy ain't for everyone. Jimmy in his prime is better than Ant. Give that. Can we wait a couple more weeks for that? Ant's just so much shiftier, man. More talented. Better overall shooter off the dribble. Boston really has a clear road at this point. All the pressure's on them, even if the Wolves advance. I totally agree. I was going to say that, but I was going to wait till the end. I admit Cat was playing good D on Jokic. I'll admit I think Cat is maturing. Yep. He can kill Dallas. PJ Washington will be guarding him. We'll see about that. PJ Washington ain't no slouch. Not going to lie, Malone is a great coach, but I'd love to see him butthurt on the loss. Jokic was getting cooked on defense and didn't box out this series. He wasn't perfect even with a great box score. Darian, why don't you give a shout out to your old neighbor who was a Wolves fan and was teammate at the conference finals for 20 years? What? I had a neighbor who was a Wolves fan? Minnesota. Did I have anybody that I know from Minnesota? Wolves fan. A neighbor? I don't think that rings up. I don't know about who are you? A Wolves fan. Remember when Dallas thought Christian Wood was good? I want to give Alexander Walker his flowers. I thought he was out of the league a season or two ago. Don't get me started on Wood. I don't even think that matters. I think they're 30 great players. Joker will kill everyone next year. CBA ain't no excuse when you're up 20 at home. Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right, bro. I love that dude's like Swiper got humbled. Stop with you being the greatest offensive player of all time. Yeah, that's Magic Johnson. Still don't understand why they wanted Reggie Jackson. I know every year there's a new finals team. I think Wemby's going to end the dreams of so many contending teams. Why are you guys so high on the Spurs, man? They're so far away from contending for even anything. I mean, like, get out of here. Edwin Alvarez says, Jokic is greater than Wilton Russell, mostly because the game is so different and generally the game has evolved so much. Nah, bullshit, dude. Give me a break. No, he's not better than Wilton Russell yet. No way. Let me see what kind of good points you've made here. The game is so different. That doesn't mean that he's better. Generally, I think the game has evolved so much. The game has changed. Again, and gotten better. Subjective. I mean, yes, there's more talent now, obviously. But what does that do with Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain? You're holding against them what era they played in, which is such a lame cop-out. Such a lame cop-out. He played much better centers than fucking Jokic did. Jokic just played against like one good center that he's never going to see in the playoffs in his life. These guys played against Willis Reed, Nate Thurmond, each other all the time. Miss me with that. Zelmo Beatty. It's a lot of good centers in the 60s, and it was very condensed. I'm not Wayne Embry. I'm not putting Jokic over Wilton Russell yet. Nah. He's not in that top 5 centers yet. He did not go back to back. That was my criteria. If you want to just go player for player, then it's just what you prefer. But that's why I do value rings. Because first of all, I could just say this. You want to do player for player? I could just say that Jokic is above average at best defensively, and Wilt and Bill Russell are two of the best rim protectors of all time, and Bill Russell is the best rebounder and defender of all time. So, and that's 50% of the game, which I know a lot of people don't agree with, but that's a fact. There's no arguing about Wilt and Bill. First of all, athletically, they're not even in the same stratosphere. So you want to talk about evolved and this and that, and you're supporting a white fat boy from Serbia versus an American, an Olympic athlete level guy in the 60s. So, like, don't give me that bullshit. Like, if you think Jokic is better, then fine. But, like, can you come up with a more impressive argument than that, please? It's very lazy. All right, it's time to talk about the Mavericks, right? Jason, how have you found me? Has Kiara told you about me? We used to play NBA Live 07 on your computer. Okay, I want to talk about Jason for a sec. I'll give him a shout out here. That's funny. So you stuck with the Wolves because when I knew Jason, okay, so let me give a background. When I lived in my apartment back in the day, there was a guy that was slightly older than me that lived down the hallway. His name was Jason, and he was a Kevin Garnett stan. Like, he was obsessed with KG. So, like, everything was about Garnett. He'd try to shoot like him. We play basketball in the hallway, one-on-one and whatnot. We would play NBA Live 07 on my PC, my dad's PC Toshiba computer. And because I was just a nice friend, we played a whole season with the Timberwolves, with fucking Mike James and Randy Foye and Ryan Gomes as their starting lineup, just because this guy liked Kevin Garnett so much. And mind you, I liked Kevin Garnett too, but my favorite player was Braun at the time. So that's so funny. And then I asked him, I said, if Kevin Garnett goes to, what's it called? If Kevin Garnett goes to another team, are you going to support that other team? And he said, yes, I would. So when I went to, and I moved, and I've never seen him since, I always wondered, wow, did he become a Celtics fan? He finally got to see Garnett win a ring. He must have been so happy when he saw Kevin Garnett win a ring. So Jason, now that you're in here right now, how happy were you to see Kevin Garnett win a ring? Was that moment was that like a life-changing moment right there? Anything's possible? Is that like your favorite thing? Because, like, I am happy for you that Kevin Garnett did get his ring. See, that's so funny to imagine, like, what's the Twitter would have been like back in the 2000s when McGrady had all these stands and Garnett and Iverson. Oh my God. Kobe. Like, Garnett, he had a stand base too. Dirk. That's crazy, bro. So, like, I actually am a big Kevin Garnett fan. And those memories are very, like, lively in my head. I know, man. We were best friends with a Stan. Well, oh, man, it was funny. Not a life-changing moment. Was cool to see. Would rather see Wolves win a ring. Wow. That shocks me. So you've really stuck with the Wolves. Would rather see Wolves win a ring than Kevin Garnett win a ring. Impressive. So maybe you were more of a team fan than I gave you credit for. Anyway, all right, we got to talk about Dallas now because I've gone on so long. All right, it's time for your Dallas Mavericks. All right, are we in here, Dallas fans? If you're a Mavericks fan, make some noise in the chat right now. I got some new ones that have followed me over the last couple of weeks. If you're a Mavericks fan, make some noise in the chat right now. All right, let's talk about Dallas. Now, I did not actually take notes for this game, but here's what I'll say about it. The Oklahoma City Thunder were playing their best first half that they could play. And it started with them making shots from three, the role players. Throughout the series, the Oklahoma City Thunder role players have not brought it shooting the three ball. And it felt like, holy shit, the shooting variance, it's kind of coming back. It's a matter of time before now the Thunder start making shots. And they started hitting. SGA was immaculate, as he's been the whole series. Their defense was good. And Kyrie Irving was doing that same old Kyrie Irving stuff this postseason where he did not shoot very much. 5 shot attempts in the first half. And here's the craziest part. Luka Doncic had 6 field goal attempts in the first half, the same amount as Jaden Hardy. So the Thunder, they were getting what they wanted from the Mavs in that first half defensively. But It was still 48. Wow, they were up 64-48 at half. What was their biggest lead in this game? Can somebody give me a fact check on what their biggest lead was in this game? I think it was like 17, but they were doing as good of a job as you could. And then PJ Washington had 3 first half fouls. So he only played 5.5 minutes in the first half. And that was huge because we know how great PJ Washington's been in this series. And then Luka had 5 turnovers in the first half, 11 turnovers at halftime, while SGA has 21 at the half. And then Lou Dort has 2 threes. Jalen Williams had 9 points, so a little bit better than some halves that he's had recently. Chet, 9 points as well at halftime. But yeah, again, the bench though, Giddey giving you a donut, Jalen Williams from Arkansas giving you 3 points, and then Cason Wallace giving you 3 points. So they had a total of 8 points off the bench in the first half. But the second half, you just knew Dallas was going to make a push. It was just a matter of, could the young, inexperienced Oklahoma City Thunder team, 17, thank you so much, guys. Could the young Oklahoma City Thunder team withstand the Dallas run and the crowd going crazy? And they couldn't. They couldn't. Luka started cooking. Kyrie started getting more aggressive. But I got to give a shout out to Derrick Jones Jr. 4 for 4 from 3 in the second half. I think the Mavs role players. So let's say you take away the top 3 from OKC. We'll talk about those guys in a sec. But you take away the top 3 from OKC and you take away the top 2 from Dallas and you say who played better. Dallas crushed them. Derrick Jones Jr. and PJ Washington and Gafford and Lively, and even guys like Josh Green who've given them some spot minutes. They've been unbelievable. The true difference for me in the second half was the amount of rebounds it felt like Dallas was getting, and just what we've seen all series that has given Dallas the advantage was happening in that second half. And it just felt like SGA had to make like every single right play for them to like stay around and win this one. And in the third quarter, the Mavericks outscored OKC 35-26. And it started with getting some stops, getting out in transition. And Kyrie Irving had 10 points in the third. Luka Doncic had 10 points in the third. And Derrick Jones Jr. had 11 points in the third. So between those 3, they had 31 of the 35 third quarter points for Dallas. And I think one thing we've talked about with Dallas this entire series was their closing out. They're scrambling on defense. You know, they have PJ Washington guarding Chet to switch the pick and roll, but it's not like they're just leaving SGA on an island. They are throwing bodies at him. They are getting ready to help and loading up on him. And when the pass is made, they're all rotating and they're closing out. And throughout the series, there were so many times where the Oklahoma City Thunder players were super hesitant to take pull-up mid-ranges or floaters or threes because they were afraid they were going to get blocked with the closeout speed of the Mavs. And the fact that the Thunder were starting basically Lou Dort at the 4 all season, that got exposed by Dallas in terms of the low man help that they showed that the Thunder just didn't have. And that was able to show more resistance defensively in the pick and rolls against against SGA than versus Luka. And the fact that they had a backup center that actually ended up outplaying the starting center, and the Oklahoma City Thunder's backup center was Jalen Williams, who was completely undersized and got crushed on the glass. And then their starting center is a twig right now. I think experience, lack of size in the front court, and then the fact that you really only had 1 star as opposed to 2 is what dug the Thunder in this series. And lack of experience does matter. I know that Dallas, PJ Washington is in his first playoffs. Derrick Jones Jr. has never had this kind of role in the playoffs, but Kyrie Irving is a champion. He's played in 4 NBA finals. Luka Doncic has played in the playoffs now for a while. He's been pretty battle tested. He's been to a conference finals. And then Daniel Gafford doesn't have much playoff experience. No, neither does Derek Lively. It's really just Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, and really just those. Even though he didn't play too much, I will say Tim Hardaway Jr., just being a part of a locker room that's been in the playoffs before, it does help. The Thunder, they just have none of it. Like SGA has done none of it, but he was so composed. I mean, the shot making of this guy throughout the game was crazy. It's the most bittersweet feeling seeing SGA cook the way he is and how good he's become. because it's just like he lives in the mid-range, and it's amazing. I will say, though, it felt like the Thunder may have not gotten enough threes up in this series, but Dallas 34-26 in the fourth. Kyrie Irving had 8 in the fourth. He didn't even shoot that well, but he had this one fall away going left that got the bounce. That was just so crucial. And SGA, he committed a really bad foul. When it looked like the Thunder had the game won on a lob to Chet, he fouled PJ Washington, who ended up making the game-winning free throws. But, man, that was a terrible foul. And he's going to beat himself up for that foul, as he should. But SGA, I really think it's one of those situations, and you don't hear me say this much, but it was one of those situations where I think he did all he could. I don't think that there was anything that he could have done. He played as well as he could have asked him to play for his first playoff run. It was amazing. He's going to go up in my rankings big time when I do it in the summer, and he should be going up everyone's because he showed that he was so ready for the moment. You know, playoff atmosphere, some of the best defenders on the perimeter in the league, and he was like, no, I can still cook. Don't matter. I can get to my spots. It was amazing, but let's read the lines, man. What a win for Dallas. They won the series in the exact same pattern as the first round. Lost game 1, won game 2 and 3, lost game 4, win a game 5 on the road, and win a game 6 at home. And I have to say, you know, you can't lose a game 5 at home. If you're the Clippers and if you're the Thunder, you lose game 5 at home, you can't expect to win. So many things have to go right. It's like winning a game 7 on the road. And it's funny because the Wolves, not a lot of things went right. They just got it out the mud. But the fact that both teams that are in the conference finals for the West are the teams with the best center rotation, that's very telling. And I'll tell you what it tells you. Every single season after a team wins a championship, the whole league is like, the contending teams are like, okay, how do we counter that team? Did it with Shaq, did it with the Warriors, and now last year the Nuggets won. So they were like, we need big bodies for Jokic. So are we trending back into the size direction? One thing's for sure. Athleticism, length, and size that's mobile, that's in right now in today's game. And I think the amount of the speed of the rotations of the Mavs, and I have to say, Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic deserve a lot of credit. I think they've been a lot better defensively than Jokic and Murray this postseason, and their closeouts have just been so great. The helping of the helper, Gafford and Lively have taken away the rim, and then they kick it out, and the scrambling is just amazing from Dallas. I have to say, when I picked the Thunder to win the series in 7, I was wrong about one thing. I thought that the Mavericks defense wasn't better than the Thunder, and I was wrong. The new Mavericks defense is better than the Thunder, and it's because that front court help and the low man help. You know, Derrick Jones Jr., he'll come out of nowhere and get blocks. Like the way he covers ground is impressive. And then the other thing was I overestimated Chet and J-Dub a little bit. You know, they weren't ready for this. To be that second guy, I said, can SGA get secondary help scoring-wise in the playoffs? Not for a conference finals berth just yet. SGA had 8 in the fourth. Chet had 6 in the fourth. J-Dub 5. Let's read the lines for the game. The Dallas Mavericks win it by a score of 116-117 to make the conference finals for the second time in 3 years. Very impressive. And maybe the Luka Doncic era is starting sooner than we realized. What I mean by Luka Doncic era, I mean like consistently deep playoff runs. Because like last year when they lost, they didn't even make the play-in. It's like, okay, maybe Luka hasn't reached that point of his career where he's going deep in the playoffs consistently. But I mean, this two out of the last 3 years, man, they got lively. This is a solid chance to win a ring, though, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. It's become that with Denver out. I wouldn't fear anything if I'm Dallas. But let's read the lines, right? Should we go Thunder first? Let's go Thunder first. They shot 48% in this game. Dallas shot 51%. They shot 37% from 3, which is not even bad, but Dallas shot 47%. Again, you left it up to a home game 6. I know you blew a lead, but like, it is what it is. Happens. It's today's NBA. Certain leads, you can't over-exaggerate so much about it. It's not the same as it used to be. Tim Hardaway Jr. played 6 minutes, got 2 shots up and made 1, 2 points, nothing to report. Jaden Hardy, 11 minutes, 5 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists on 2 for 6 shooting and 1 for 3 from deep. Josh Green gave him some big minutes with PJ Washington out, 18 and a half to be exact, 6 points, 2 rebounds, and an assist and a steal. on 2 for 4 shooting and 1 for 3 from deep. I think Josh Green had a very solid series, had some really big offensive rebounds throughout the series, and just played with high effort and intensity. Derek Lively, man, what a series. What a series. 12 points, 15 rebounds, including 4 offensive rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, great rim protection, great closing out, just sublime stuff. And you know what's crazy about it is that OKC helped facilitate Derek Lively in Dallas. And I'll tell you, even though Luka had to take the bullets for not making the play-in last year, it was well worth getting Derek Lively, because here they are now. And they have this guy for the foreseeable future. Huge. And then Daniel Gafford, he played 18 and a half minutes, 10.7 boards, 1 assist, 1 block. I mean, Jesus Christ. Daniel Gafford, what an impact he's made to this team. He has really changed things. And then there's PJ Washington. Wasn't his best game. 9 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. 2 for 6 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, but I'll tell you, he made some big shots, and he was just amazing in this series. PJ Washington, I never thought he was a needle mover like this. I'd never seen him play defense like this in Charlotte. I'm shocked, and it just goes to show you that some of these role players, we underestimate what they can do given the right situation. We saw with Wiggins. We saw with Aaron Gordon. Is PJ Washington the next on that list to join that category? Because low man help, point of attack defense, knocking down open shots, hustle plays, toughness. He's given them everything of that. Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington really moved the needle. I can't believe it. I can't believe that role players, not even prominent ones, move the needle that much for a team. It's ridiculous. But give a lot of credit to Nico Harrison, man. He came through this time. He came through for Dallas and for Luka and Kyrie Irving. The man of the hour, though, Derrick Jones Jr. 22 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal and a block, and 2 turnovers, and guarded SGA the whole series. 8 for 13 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3. I said earlier this season, I think Derrick Jones Jr. should not be a starter on a championship team. I think he should be a backup. But you know what? Right now, it's looking like I was dead wrong on that too, because he is fucking hooping. And he's a good player. Then the main men, Kyrie Irving, he got more shots up, and he got the job done. 22 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 turnovers, which is not good, but 9 for 23 from the field and 4 for 10 from 3. Here's what I got to say about Kyrie Irving, man. He has shut up a lot of doubters. There was the whole, what have you done without LeBron? And it was pretty valid until this year. How much do you want to win a championship? A second ring? With the absences in Brooklyn and then the vaccine thing. But man, when he got that contract, honestly, since he came in Dallas, he's been really good in terms of like respectful, no drama. But when he got that contract and Dallas committed to him, he committed to them. And I've not seen this kind of selflessness from Kyrie Irving in his entire career. Like, it's one thing to like defer to LeBron James, but it's another thing to defer to a guy who's younger than you, who's the face of this franchise, and you're coming in to help him kind of build his legacy as the second greatest Maverick or the greatest Maverick of all time, if he can surpass Dirk, which is a very high bar. But just be that second guy. And then the way he's bought in on all the little things, defense, being a vocal leader, Kyrie Irving has really kind of had this kind of like revival. He never lost the talent, but it's like the drive, the distractions were so big. Like, he's really bought in and he's been so great. And I think Kyrie Irving, evaluating his performance really tells me how much, like, not what you know about basketball, but like how you evaluate games. Because what I saw was a guy that didn't shot hunt, didn't take too many bad shots, played defense the entire series and the entire postseason, took over when it was time to take over, sometimes not aggressive enough in first halves, played solid defense, made the right plays, and really, when Luka was cooking, he would let him cook. And he's created good shots throughout the series. Can't say that about J-Dub. Kyrie Irving's a champion. And you know what it also has taught us, and I said it from day one, Kyrie Irving's fit next to Luka is very similar to LeBron. He doesn't need to play with another scorer that wants to work quickly off the catch and be off the ball like himself. He doesn't want the ball that much for pick and roll reps. He wants a blend. He's a score first guy. So playing with KD was kind of redundant in its own way, even though we didn't get to see the ceiling of that really. He and Luka, it's very LeBron-like. You have your number one shot creator, playmaker, ball dominator, and he gets to be that secondary scorer he defers to. And honestly, it's funny. I think Luka likes deferring even less than LeBron. Luka, like sometimes he'll just every time down pick and roll. And you know one thing that really hurt the Thunder compared to Dallas? Dallas was switching way more. And OKC, as much as I love that they don't switch weaker defenders onto Luka and Kyrie, they were putting the guards in the action, and Derek Jones and PJ Washington were really abusing it all series. So, got to give them credit. Kyrie Irving, 22 points. The efficiency is not a big deal to me. 9 for 23 from the field because he's been efficient, and you said he doesn't shoot enough. So, 4 for 10 from 3 and got the job done. Amazing postseason run that Kyrie Irving is on right now. Amazing is not backed up by stats, but my eye test it is. Luka, another triple-double, 29, 10, and 10. I think you could argue SGA was the better player in the series, but I'm still taking Luka over him just because he's been there, done that. He's done it for a while, and he won the series, and he's not 100%. 29, 10, and 10 on 9 for 15 shooting, 4 for 6 from 3. I like SGA way more, though. Obviously, he's a former Clipper, and his game I like more. But 7 for 7 from the foul line in 45 minutes. Luka got it done, man. He's a beast. He's one. He was my 7th best player in the NBA going into this season. So he'll be back in the top 5. He redeemed himself. I had to knock off some points with that plan. I had to. I'm sorry. But the Mavericks, man, difference. Having a second star, truly better center rotation, and some front court depth. How about the Thunder? Yikes. Kenrich Williams, 2 points. Cason Wallace, 5 points. Aaron Wiggins, 0 points on 0 for 2 shooting. Cason Wallace, by the way, 2 for 8 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. They really could have used some shot making from him. Jalen Williams, 2 for 5, 6 points. By the way, they didn't start Giddey. Josh Giddey, 2 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist on 1 for 3 shooting. So they got a combined 15 points off their bench. Dallas got 12 points from Derek Lively by himself. So they lost that battle. I think they need to upgrade to the backup center next season. I think Jalen Williams can be a 4, but a backup 5 is too much for him. I think Cason Wallace has had a great rookie year. I think he's just a rookie that you're relying on. I think Aaron Wiggins, these guys are hella young. Isaiah Joe starting for you. And he played okay offensively, 11 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists on 4 for 7 shooting and 3 for 4 from 3 in 29 minutes. But defensively, he was getting picked on. So these guys are really young. We have to remember how young this team is. Lou Dort, not good enough in this series shooting the ball. And you know what? He shot better this year, but he still doesn't convince anybody from 3, and the Dallas knew it. 11 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals, 2 turnovers on 3 for 10 shooting, 2 for 7 from 3. He needed to make more shots. I'm not saying they should do anything with Lou Dort. Lou Dort coming back is fine. He's great at what he does. He just needs to make more shots. Chet Holmgren, he actually played well in this game. It's just a little too late. And he's gotten bitched on the glass, by the way. 3 rebounds? No. Especially when you're playing drop coverage. 1 assist, 2 steals, no blocks. 21 points on 9 for 15 shooting and 1 for 7 from 3. I think if there's there's a couple changes that Chet needs to make. By the way, I don't like how everyone's acting like this. The Thunder, they're the windows are closing quicker now because the CBA and all this, and you just never know what can happen. But that's very valid, but dude, this is their first year together. Were they supposed to win a ring now? Are they supposed to be crying that they didn't win a ring the first year? It doesn't work like that. Next year, here's the thing. SGA is more championship ready than we first believed. I think that's what's crazy. We're all like, holy shit, J-Dub and Chet better catch up and be ready to fulfill their roles because SGA, he might be that dude for being the best player on a championship team. Chet, I'm going to say this. He needs to get in the weight room, duh. 2, needs to look more to being one-on-one scorer, not just pick and pop. Because what Dallas did was they switched that pick and roll, pick and pop, and it's like, okay, so how are you going to abuse this now? Is it going to just be SGA against the big man, which is what they went through every time? Or can Chet get some size advantage points against the small? Doesn't have that yet. And I said that was going to happen in the playoffs. I said once they find a team that'll switch and make him go against a forward or a big guard, he won't do it, and no one's going to say a word because no one cares about that anymore. They don't see that. They see that Chet's so skilled for a big man when it comes to guard skills. When it comes to big skills, he doesn't have it. Doesn't box out very well. Doesn't do any of that. But again, you guys think shooting and ball handling is everything that matters in basketball now. So everybody's more skilled now because of that. Okay. I disagree with that assessment of the game. Anyway, I like Chet Holmgren, though. I think he's going to be awesome. Is that all I said? Oh, his shot release. Yeah, that hitch or whatever it is. Against the high levels of closeouts. All those shots felt contested, even though they were open at first. So if he can speed up the release, that would be big. Jalen Williams, he finally played well, but he just did not create enough good looks throughout the series. He's got to get a deeper bag. It was just kind of hard drive pull up the entire series, and that's like his only move. And off a little crossover, he can get some more wiggle in his game. Like, I think he plays with SGA, who's got a ton of wiggle in his game. I think he can. 22 points. He's a second-year player, for God's sake. He's a great player. And he had almost a triple-double in this game, and he can guard. 22 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, and a block on 8 for 16 shooting, 3 for 5 from 3 for J-Dub. Had a good game, but it wasn't enough in the series. And it's okay. He's not a second star just yet. He might be next year. People are acting like these guys have peaked. It's ridiculous. SGA, 36 points, 3 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 blocks. No turnovers on 14 for 25 shooting and 4 of 5 from 3. Wait, hold on a sec. Never mind. SGA doesn't get a pass. 4 for 7 from the free throw line? For you? If you even make 2 of those, you win the game. Sorry, Shea. No pass there for this game. But in the series, I think he did everything he could. But congratulations to Dallas, man. I'm not going to lie. I didn't see it coming. I thought that the Clippers losing in 6 without Kawhi was like, okay, they're good, but they're not that good. OKC will beat them. But it's matchups, man. Styles make fights. And OKC had a good matchup against us because they were so much faster than us. But Dallas has more athleticism and size than I thought, and it showed in this series. And OKC not kind of addressing that problem that we all knew that they had in the deadline. You know, it might have been costly, but now you really know what you need. And it's not a big deal. You already have the core. You just need to fill it out with complementary guys. That's all I have to say about that. But, man, congrats to Dallas. I think they have a great chance. I mean, Dallas versus Minnesota. I'm not going to talk about that on this episode because we'll have a preview for that, hopefully. When's the series start? Wednesday? Oh, we'll definitely have a preview for that. Hopefully we can get a contact creator for both sides. But, man, what an interesting series that's going to be. Dallas has now won 2 series on the road. Can they be the third team to be included in the top 4 seeds thing? I don't know. They did make a big mid-season trade, just like the Drexler Rockets did, but for role players. That's the wild thing. I don't think Dallas is going to win the championship. I'm sorry. I don't think you can win 4 series on the road. I think it's not feasible. It's so hard to do that. But we'll see. This is going to be a great series. I'm not going to make my pick yet, but it's going to be fun. And Dallas has earned it. And that trade was amazing. And Kyrie has been amazing. And Luka does it. Now we are going to see if before we talk about the Knicks, we can get my boy Fabian in here because I would like to hear how a Knicks fan is feeling. If you guys want to go follow All Ball TV on YouTube, you must. It's a New York-based basketball channel with a focus on the Knicks. But they just love basketball. But it's Knicks focused. It's great. They're the best. They're local fans, diehards. So let's talk about the New York Knicks. And, man, there's not much to say about this game in terms of details and X's and O's. It was really a travesty. The Pacers came out scorching. OG Anunoby gave it a shot. He didn't look right. Didn't play the rest of the game. Siakam, they were really going at him with Siakam. And I loved how aggressive Siakam was. I really did. But that crowd, it was taken out of the game. And if you're a team and you want to win a Game 7 on the road, this did not apply to the Wolves, although it did in the second half. But the way you win a Game 7 on the road is you take the crowd out of it early. And that's exactly what Indiana did with their shot making and then their really good defense. And Brunson, I said it all series, but eventually he was not going to be able to just create every shot every time down and they were going to win a championship. It's just not possible, especially at his size. And he just was struggling. Ever since Aaron Nesmith started guarding him more, he started struggling a little more. And then he fractured his hand and that was it. And Josh Hart didn't look right after last game's injury. So essentially, everybody outside of Isaiah Hartenstein and DiVincenzo in their starting lineup got hurt. Mitchell Robinson got hurt. And the Indiana Pacers had the greatest shooting performance. I repeat, the greatest shooting performance in the history of the NBA playoffs. So if you're going to lose a Game 7 at home in embarrassing fashion like that, when your whole team is injured and the other team has the best shooting game in NBA history, that's the way you lose. And I have to say, like, they had no options in New York. I saw Precious Achiuwa playing so much. They were leaving him wide open at the three-point line. And we've talked about his lack of offense and spacing throughout the series, hurting the Knicks. And they just didn't have much of an option. And with Brunson not playing well and then getting hurt, I got to give a shout out to two guys, Alec Burks and DiVincenzo. They really brought it offensively. 39 for DiVincenzo. What a season he had. What a playoffs he had. And my heart goes out to the Knicks because I really thought that this was the year they were going to make the conference finals. I wanted them to make it, and I wanted their fans to experience it again because I've never even seen them make the conference finals. This was the furthest I've ever seen them go, one game away. And the fact that two teams lost a game 7 at home to this year was just crazy. It's so rare. I always bet on the home team in a game 7. But this year, and then last year, we had the Heat win a game 7 on the road. And then Curry and his Warriors win a game 7 on the road. And then Dallas won a game 7 on the road the previous year. They're doing it more. Is that something about the NBA? Is that, I don't know what's going on. Is it the crowds? Or is that it just so happens that it's played out that way? I don't know. But it was a sad ending for the Knicks. They fall to the Pacers, 130-109. They made a run in the beginning of the third quarter. They cut it down to 7. And this is where I would say the Pacers showed a lot of toughness. They answered the roaring MSG crowd. Halliburton made big play after big play. Turner the same. And then Nembhard, Nesmith, McConnell, you name it, they shot efficiently. The only guy that didn't shoot efficiently was Obi Toppin. Everyone else on the team shot at least 50% from the field. That's ridiculous. They shot 67% in a game 7, missed 26 shots out of 79, shot 54% from 3, and won it 130-109 in the Garden. Both times I've seen the Knicks get this close to the conference finals, they have lost to the Pacers in the semifinals. And now, before we get into the lines, let's bring in our resident Knicks fan, Fabian Perspective TV, joining us live at 3 a.m. from New York, the night after. Fabian, the floor is yours.
Well, yeah, I got it back over here. Hold on a second, Dom.
All right, hold on. We'll hold on Fabian for just a second. I want to say, oh my God, when did my audio stop recording? Wow, I didn't record the Dallas part. I am such a fraud on the audio. What an absolute bozo. I forgot to hit record again. But anyways, man, I'll talk about the Pacers first because we're going to harp on the Knicks. But Isaiah Jackson had a really good series, man. 9 points on 3-for-3 shooting. Obi Toppin, he had an amazing series. Not a great game in terms of shooting, but 3.3 rebounds, 4 assists. He beat his old team. Got to give it to him. TJ McConnell, Ben Shepherd, very solid game. And I like Ben Shepherd, man. He competes. He plays deep, plays the right way. 4 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and a block, and no turnovers on 2-for-3 shooting. And then how about TJ McConnell? This guy has put his name up in lights this playoffs. I'm even tempted to say he's the best backup point guard in the NBA. His defense, his energy, the way he can still get to the mid-range, even though they go under every single screen, is amazing. And it's because he rises so high on his shot. He's got a great downhill burst that puts defenders on their heels. And he's just crafty, and he has spots around those elbows in the middle of the key. So, it's just amazing. He's having the best season of his career. Is anybody on the Pacers not having the best season of their career? I guess Siakam, you can say. Everyone else is having the best season of their career. And on the Knicks, I'll go to them in a second, but TJ had 12 points, 2 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal and a block on 6-for-8 shooting, 0-for-1 from 3. The guy just doesn't feel like he misses that mid-range. Then the starters, all of them in double figures. Andrew Nembhard. I thought he could be a decent pro, but a starter on a conference finals team, I get they've been injured, but what? 20 points, 5 boards, 6 assists, and a steal on 8-for-10 shooting, 1-for-2 from 3, 3-for-4 from the line, competes on the defensive end, and just plays smart basketball. He's just a typical Gonzaga player. Just smart basketball, fundamental. What a solid pick for them. He played amazing in this series, man. Game winner in game 3 changed the whole thing. Imagine if he had missed that shot and the Knicks won that game. What would we have been saying? Would it have mattered? Would they have been the first team to come to blow a 3-0 lead because they didn't have those guys? No, because Josh Hart hadn't gotten hurt yet in game 5. I don't know. How demoralized the Pacers have been in game 4. Huge what ifs. How about Aaron Nesmith? I mean, the defense and then 19 points on 8 for 8 shooting. Didn't miss a shot. 2 for 2 from 3. 1 for 1 from the line. What? That's ridiculous. And this is a guy who I watched as a rookie for the Boston Celtics. Hold on. He got drafted in 2020 or in 2019? Let's see. Yeah, 2020, I believe. So I remember his first year as a Celtic. I was watching the games for this channel, the Dime Dropper teams season. My first season where I was just talking about every team because I didn't have a job. So I had a lot of time on my hands. He played 46 games. Like his first 2 years of Boston, he just didn't really play. He wasn't part of the rotation. Now you're seeing how good of a pro he can be. Sheesh. I mean, wow. What a game. What a series. And then Miles Turner. Congratulations to him. First second round appearance, first conference finals appearance. He's been with Indiana his entire career. And I thought he was awesome in this series. The pick and pop threat, the rim protection. He was even being aggressive against smaller guys. I think he's been awesome in this series. Definitely a top 10 center in the league. 17 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 4 blocks, 1 turnover on 7 for 11 shooting and 2 for 3 from deep. And he had a huge shot that stopped the run when the Knicks were the hottest. And then Siakam. Man, they took a swing, and it was so worth it. Siakam's ability to get the ball in the mid-post, give them some easy baskets, a half-court threat with size. He's also helped their defense, even though defensively he hasn't really been one of the standouts by any means. But, man, he's helped them so much. I went from saying they had no chance of winning a first-round series to now they do with Siakam, and they've done even more. And, again, I get it. They've had a favorable route in both series with Dame, Giannis being out, and now everybody being out. But you got to beat who's in front of you. And they got it done. And you got to perform. And Siakam did, and Halliburton did. And it's sad because, when are my Clippers ever going to be the beneficiaries of another team getting hurt? It's always the other way around. Always. Tyrese Halliburton, 26 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists on 10 for 17 shooting, 6 for 12 from 3. That driving, snaking the pick and roll, and then going all the way back around for 3 pull-up is crazy. And Halliburton, man, first playoff appearance, conference finals. Wow. I get it. Favorable circumstances, but he had to perform, and he did, and he's special. And he's a great young leader. I loved his Reggie Miller hoodie after the game with the choking. He's embraced that culture in Indiana. He's embraced that culture. What?
I'm sorry to jump right in there.
He's embraced the culture. What?
I'm on the phone, so it's kind of like it kicks me in and out of the live.
Okay.
I had to jump in right when you mentioned Halliburton. I love this because is the Halliburton Fox debate over officially?
I'm gonna give Halliburton the edge. I know they'd be 2 injured teams, but I'll give him the edge because it's so tight for me anyway. It's like they're both very different. They're good at different things, but I'll give Halliburton the edge. This was amazing. He performed. I forgot to mention Siakam's stat line real quick, though. I just wanted to say it. 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists on an efficient 8 for 15 from the field and 2 for 3 from deep. Do you want to talk about anybody performance from the Knicks, or is it not even worth talking about today? Because we
have to give credit to the Pacers, and I don't know if we touched on Rick Carlisle. After Game 5, he was going off on the Pacers so bad, I thought he quit, and it was the opposite. You heard Miles Turner echoing everything he said, and they turned it around in Game 6 and Game 7. It was basically the same performance. There was nothing we could do to stop them defensively. The injuries are obvious, but I think the Tibbs criticism out there is not the right one. That keeps pointing to the injuries, and it's like you can't blame him for the injuries. That's silly. Everyone's playing doctor at this point.
Oh, that's exactly what the conversation was with Kawhi and stuff last year. Was like, did he get injured because of an increased workload or because of freak injuries? And I think a lot of it was freak injuries, and it was not Tibbs' fault. And it's funny because the round before I was getting on here talking about you're the most conditioned team in the league because you guys have guys playing heavy minutes and you still have more effort at the end of games than the Sixers did. But yeah, I don't think it's Tibbs' fault either.
Well, the minutes thing was what I was arguing with Flea and all ball about. Because for me, it's like in round one, I felt as if he had an 8-man rotation with Mitchell Robinson, McBride, and Bogey coming off the bench. And I felt like Embiid is hobbled and he doesn't do well with OG, Mitchell Robinson, and Achua. There should be a big body thrown at him. You know what I mean? And he didn't stick to that. I thought Tibbs might have cost us a game against the 76ers. And it might have been cost us a game that Mitchell Robinson could have played against the Pacers. But the bottom line is, I think Tibbs' approach to the game, we could have won had we had our roster. Tibbs is getting his guys. Like, I mean, Josh Hart is now, these guys, they might go down in like as New York legends now. Josh
Yeah.
Hart and Jalen Brunson, especially for us. This is going to be memorable.
DiVincenzo, Hart, Brunson, these guys all had the best seasons of their career. Like, it was awesome. Deuce McBride,
Hartenstein.
Even Isaiah,
Yeah.
I mean, it was awesome. Brunson.
Randall was.
I wouldn't say OG Anunoby yet, but he was on the makings of it.
He was. They all were. And this is what I was saying. You see, we have to revisit it. There's no way now anyone can convince me otherwise. Even when Randall went down, I said we can still compete with anybody. Because it's about OG. He's a two-way player that who's a better 3-and-D guy at this point? Like, I think that's solidified now. And, you know, it's just obvious that the injuries hurt us. There's no way we would have swept Philly and the Pacers with Tibbs' workload and his strategy. But really?
With Randall? Just with Randall?
With Mitchell Robinson and OG, with two of those three guys.
You had them against the Sixers, though.
But Mitchell was like, he was hobbling, bro. Like, that was tough on him. Remember, he missed the game. Like, he really was playing too many minutes. And, you know, Tibbs was a lunatic at the end of the day. But my point is, what I want to get to is we can't avoid how we played today, or last night, because it starts with Brunson, bro. I know how he plays. When he's on, he gives the ball up. He knows how to find the flow. The Pacers, they learned. They did the same thing Philly did. You double him. If he doesn't give the ball up, now you're trapping his passing lanes, and it was over for him.
He wasn't releasing the ball. I forgot to mention that. He wasn't releasing the ball on those pick and roll situations in the first half, and they're like throwing two at him. He wouldn't pass sometimes.
Exactly. And especially on the pick and pop with McBride. McBride was open every time. Like, I didn't care that McBride got 10 shots, bro. Let him get this. Look what happened with DiVincenzo. He went crazy. And then again, I felt going into the series, you have to think about Alec Burks playing and Achua. Again, you know, people were getting mad at me, but Tibbs he has to be criticized for that. Bro, we were going into the Pacers series, not thinking about playing Achua and Alec Burks. The Pacers don't play defense. And at the pace that they play, no pun intended.
That's been proven false, though.
Nah, they don't play defense, bro.
Stop. Neesmith and Andrew Nembhard, and Turner's a good rim protector. Neesmith and Andrew Nembhard work their asses off.
Right, but that's still not what, you know, Minnesota.
Oh, whoa. We're talking best defense in the league. We're talking best defense in the last 12 years type with them.
Right. Okay. And still, OKC played really good defense. We played really good defense when we were healthy. They didn't play that level of defense.
I'll say this: they're the worst. They were the worst defensive team left in the field. But they're not. I don't think they don't play defense anymore after the trade. I think they actually have shown me a lot.
They didn't show me that they can stop anybody. Alec Burks, like you'll see with Boston. Now they have three options at somebody picking up the ball. They're not going to pick up the Boston Celtics at 90 feet on every single possession. They did that with us. That's how much faith they had in, like, yo, we're going to pick them up 90 feet, play full court press, and we're going to go, like, run at full speed on offense. Like, they had, like, once Carlisle realized, what are you guys doing? Control the paint, and anytime they get a made basket, they did the same exact thing that Miami did last year. Kick the ball off because they're crashing the boards. Nobody's going back to pick up on the trailer, whatever that's called, the guy that's crossing half court. They kept doing that. And, you know, they just they picked us apart, bro, like they're supposed to. Shout out to Carlisle, man. He made the adjustments, and they motivated Nembhard. Nembhard played at Gonzaga.
Yeah, I watched him play live, like second row with Chet. It was pretty funny.
He's the light-skinned guy with the braids?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Look at game 5 and then look at game 6 with him in it. the way Brunson shook him up and everything, he heard everybody talking about him. He took the last 2 games personally. Shout out to that guy. He did his thing. Salute to him. He picked it up. Halliburton, you know I'm a big Halliburton fan. I hate his guts now. He's a front runner, just like Devin Booker. But
Really?
hell yeah. But the difference is you can really he's a like the one thing what we always talk about with superstars like Magic Johnson, all of them, anybody, the Joker, these guys are the system. They're the system. Halliburton's the system, bro. He's a system. He's not a system player. He makes everything go. And that's another reason why you have to give Rick Carlisle credit. This is a defensive guy. The Dallas Mavericks, the Detroit Pistons, the Indiana Pacers, Carlisle's known for playing defense. He's never been known for being an innovative person on the offensive end. So for him to switch up his whole style and to have Halliburton lead the way, this guy's top of the cream of the crop coaching matchup. So I want to see what he does to Missoula.
That's going to
See
be
if he throws anything at him.
Yeah, Rick, I got to give him a lot of credit. Their offense is not just high pick and roll too anymore. They move the ball pretty well. It's quick. It all starts with Halliburton, man. He really does have some magic tendencies. The pace pushing and the shot, the shooting form is
absolutely
very magic.
That's ever since he was on Sacramento. That was the thing with me, which is it hurt to watch him because I knew he was better than Fox because you just you're making players better. You're just pushing the pace. You're setting the tone. You're making your players better. And Fox is a great player. So to be better than him is crazy. But that's what I always felt. He proved that. But I don't think the Pacers thing starts with Fox. I mean, with Halliburton. Maybe it does in terms of this is the guy we have on our team and this is the system we can run. But they got the right players around them, to your point. To get Siakam there. I don't think Siakam, he earned that contract, though. I'm not as impressed with him. I think he's very limited.
You make the conference. Why did you say he was limited?
Because he's not when he's aggressive, it's like he has a step back and Tibbs figured out this sideline play. Shout out to I forgot Rit Holtzman, whatever his name was from the Knicks film school. He broke down how for 2-3 games in a row, they kept running a sideline play to Siakam, and they knew when Josh Hart was on them to take advantage. So they saw the play, they called it out, and they switched Josh Hart and Hartenstein on him, and it stopped him. It stopped Siakam. So once, he's limited on offense, and he's not this great defender. I don't see a difference between him and Isaiah Jackson on defense. Miles Turner makes more of a difference, but they're all pretty streaky. I just don't think he's a max player from what I've seen. I think he was 9.
If he wants max money, I understand. But Indiana, after making it to the conference finals, it's going to be very hard to not say run it back,
Oh no, if they don't pay him the max and somehow bring him back, and they add Hartenstein or something like that, because he's a free agent, that would be nuts.
Oh, he's going to want money this time. He's going to want even more money.
You think so? Josh Hart came out in the press conference and he said, "Yo, you guys better run it back to Hartenstein and Anunoby." Come back. The dream for me is Anunoby
he's a free agent.
He has a player option, so he can opt in for I think it's $19 million.
I would opt out of that. I'm opting out of that so quick, dude. Yeah, he's gonna get way more than that. He should get $30 million.
Hell yeah, and the Knicks are over. Yeah, and the Knicks are over the cap. So they can offer Hartenstein the early bird rights, but they can't offer him the entire Larry Bird rights because they didn't they're over the cap, so they can't offer him that, and that means they can't offer it to OG either. So it's a good problem to have. We should be going over the cap and then some because you'll see. Bro, I keep telling everybody we were the most valued franchise when we stunk. So imagine winning now, having Brunson as the face and having a real thing to sell. Shout out to Robert Paulson too. He's kicking me while I'm down. He said I don't have my glasses on. I don't have my glasses on, by the way. I'm not hiding any tears. I'm not running. But I appreciate him keeping up the good work.
Hey man, let's close it out. So we're reaching the 2-hour mark. Some last thoughts on the season as a whole. How you're feeling. It is a disappointment, man. I mean, I really thought this was the year you go to the conference finals, and both of us had our seasons ended by key players being hurt. But for me, I'm used to it. You, I don't know if you're as used to it, but go ahead.
I think for you, because it happened repetitively, you feel that way. For me, it's the first time, and it's like I've always told you from when we first met. I don't care who's on my team unless I only care about if I can root for them. Like this is a dream for me, to be honest with you. Like Brunson was like nobody expected this. He's an underdog. He's a great leader. And then on top of that, you have like this Villanova system that worked since college. Like this guy has been winning since high school, and he's repeating it. It's fun to just have a guy like that to root for. You know what I mean? And I don't think it's not possible for every team in the league to have that, but this is it for me. Like, and that's why I told you the championship is nice, but if I don't feel like rooting for you, what's the point? It kind of sucks. And this, imagine winning a championship now. This is the ultimate. This is the ultimate sports dream. You kidding me?
That's a really amazing closing to it because it's kind of like the opposite of how I felt, how I and a lot of what I said on my last video of the Clippers was because of our conversations about what do you want to root for, and for many years I thought I would be down to just win by any means necessary, no matter who's in the uniform. But I think though I will say though, Fabian, if Kawhi Leonard, if the bubble had not happened, and the first year that he was here, we would have had a playoffs with fans. Like I feel like that could have changed a lot about how I felt about all this. But I've had a very hard time embracing those two. And at this point, after 5 years of nonsense, I'm very, ready to get out of that. And I don't like rooting for that's why I'm not renewing my season tickets. I literally do not like rooting for the team. I'm going to root for them because I'm committed for life, but I don't like rooting for them. But that's why I'm super all in on the Sparks and their two top 5 picks, baby. Cameron Brink and Rickea Jackson, and the men in the city are talking, man. These ladies are showstoppers on and off the court. And guess what? We are coming. And guess what? We're also 0-2, and I've enjoyed every second of our games because we are building towards something. Homegrown talent. And this is what I want. And the fact that, hey, my NBA team ain't doing it, WNBA, Fabian, growing industry. I need something.
Listen, that's remember they were raising $1 billion, I think, the year before. There's a lot of money being pumped over there. It's on a financial level. Is for me is a tough watch, but the Cam Brink is like little Bill Russell out there, man. I see her slapping a whole bunch of shots out there.
She just needs to stay out of foul trouble, which she's been in the first 2 games. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to talk about that more with Edwin. So guys, check out the Bass One Figueroa this week. I'm most excited for this episode of all of them, believe it or not, because we're talking Sparks, and it's kind of what, we made the podcast to also diversify into the Sparks lane. So that'll be cool. Let me know if you guys want to see Sparks vlogs. Want me to go to the games and stuff. I can definitely do that. The tickets are really cheap, and I don't know, why not? And then I want to see if I can get involved with them somehow, though. But that's it for me in this one, guys. Oh, is there anything else I wanted to say? Conference Finals previews will be coming the next couple of days. You can still find me on Locked On Clippers if you're a Clipper fan and you still want me to talk Clippers, because I'm really not answering too many questions about them on Twitter and here. I'm just really over it. I'm really enjoying watching these teams. The champion will be either Indiana, Boston, Dallas, or Minnesota.
Hold on. Do you have not a favorite, but who do you think is gonna win? Like, I just off the top of your head.
I think here's what I say about this, and it's a good way to end the show. The team I think is looked the best in my eye test is the Minnesota Timberwolves. The team that I think has to win is the Celtics, because now there's no excuse anymore. You have the most experienced team. I always kept telling you, but the Warriors are more experienced. The Heat had the experience. This is it. Ant-Man is not more experienced. You can't lose. If you're Tatum, you cannot get outplayed by Ant. 22-year-old like that showing you up on the big stage. That would be a disaster. The slander is going to be so fucking high, you wouldn't even believe it. And then it's also like the Celtics versus the Wolves. Like the Wolves are like one of the worst franchises in the history of the games historically versus the 17-ring Celtics, bonded by one all-time great player who's going to be really torn, I assume. I mean, that's going to be – I saw that clip about he's going to root for both. The Kevin Garnett series, the Wolves and the Celtics. But also Dallas would be interesting to see Luka versus Tatum, because there's been so many arguments about them over the years. But I'm always I've always thought Luka was better, but I put Tatum over him last year just because I was so annoyed with Luka and the Mavs not making the play-in. But it's going to be exciting either way. So I think the pressure's on the Celtics. They got to win it. And no matter what, they're more experienced than every team they play now. They got to win it. But if you're the Timberwolves, man, you beat Denver, you also got to be like, we got to win it. And you don't know how – this is where you say, I don't know how long the championship window is because, like, you do have the Conleys and the Goberts of the world that are in their prime, and you have the contracts are so good right now. It's just that Ant is young. That's the thing. Ant is the young guy, but he looks ready. So we'll see. But the Wolves and the Celtics, I think, should be the finals. So I'm kind of spoiling my pick. But
Nah, I agree. I think for anyone listen, go back and watch that Wolves Celtics game earlier this year. When Ant-Man showed something, Ant-Man's still not clutch, by the way, and neither is Tatum. Like Tatum, he's hot and cold with the clutch thing. He has some performances.
Ant-Man, though, has taken over a lot of second halves of this postseason. Does that not count
Yeah.
as clutch?
Yes, but in terms of, and he seizes the moment and he's very inspiring. Like that's
Yeah.
the part, like you can't teach that, man. And it's authentic. I feel like for him, he's kind of like Draymond, but he's actually nice.
And likable?
No, he's likable for now.
What's the Draymond similarity?
That they're both agitators.
Okay.
And they're like Rodman. Like he's going towards the crowd. He's likable now. There's gonna hit a point where I can see him pissing off a lot of people's fan bases and everything.
That's true.
The Celtics don't have that. And the Celtics got shook by Draymond Green. And Draymond Green gave up a game in the championship, but was it 2 years ago in 2021?
2022.
2022, Jaylen Brown admitted it about a couple months ago to Draymond, like, yo, you told us a lot because you had us scared, basically. Ant-Man brings that quality, and he's great. Like, McDaniels is a lunatic. The fact that he tried to bounce the ball and get an alley-oop, that's hot dogging what they used to call and showing off. But at the same time, you kind of crazy for doing that.
Yeah, I was saying, do you agree with what I said about in the early 2090s that would have started a fight for sure?
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
And a game 7 on the road. I mean, I was shocked that nobody went up to his face and pushed him or something.
It would have started a fight, and it would have been interesting because then benches might have cleared, or they might not have cleared because the rules were changed. The rules changed. Like, remember that Amari Stoudemire got suspended. It changed everything about the Suns and the Spurs.
It would be funny. Shout out to Amari Stoudemire who's at the game today, but it would be so funny if the Nuggets were like, "Fuck it, our season's over. We're clear the bench, just outnumber them on the court."
Hell yeah! I thought that and Joker was stepping to Ant-Man after that, but Ant-Man, I said it from a couple years ago. I think he's just a star. He looks like it, and I think, to be honest, I think he is what I said it before. And Flea and shout out to Flea and All Ball. Shout out to the Four Sportsmen, man. They got mad at me, Dom, because I said that Ant-Man is who John Morant thinks he is. Like, John Morant is he's inspiring as well, but I think Ant-Man might really fight you. He looks totally authentic.
I don't
question him.
I feel that actually. I love the Ant-Man, dude. He's a beast. And I don't really like that many players in today's NBA like that, because that's like I'm older than some of them and like same age, but
hold on a second. With the Knicks playing the way they did, Brunson the way like that, this is an inspiring story. Ant-Man's a part of that. Like, the fact that he's playing like this, it makes you like, finally, who just said this? Was it I forgot who it was. I think Ryan Russillo or somebody. Like, finally, James. Oh yeah, it was this other guy I watched. I forgot the name of this YouTube channel. James Harden and Kyrie Irving was a part of that. Kevin Durant, LeBron James. For so long, how many of our superstars were acting like they were too cool for school, too cool for basketball? Now, like, look how they act on the court compared to Ant-Man. Ant-Man is like that's. And he makes me want to play basketball. If I was 12 years old, he'd be my favorite player easily.
I feel you on that. I mean, he's so likable. I don't know. I have no bad thing to say about him at this point. I really don't. It's just Minnesota lucked out. Like, they really got the right number 1 pick, and the rest will be history. But we'll be here in the conference finals every single night. You'll probably expect a video like almost every single day, but it's going to start slowing down a little bit. However, summer we'll have big plans. This summer, I actually mean it. I didn't execute the last couple of summers. We'll talk about that another time. Fabian, appreciate you as always. Make sure you guys comment on the video. Let me know what you thought of everything we talked about tonight. A lot. This will be timestamped after, so you guys can know where to go. Peace. Have a great night. And we'll be back for some conference final previews on hopefully Tuesday. Peace and have a good one.